And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're talking about the Cultist Priestess Blue Flame event. Ooh, which should be ending here shortly, but we'll talk about the event and what it's brought to the community. Also, we'll be talking about Aimpunch, as Giga is hooking up a sick video. I'm excited to hear about what he's got to say about that. And we'll talk about a new Tarkov contender. You know, we're always keeping an eye on that. Just interesting to see what other studios do. And then I got some topics to talk about as far as something's off with Tarkov for me, and I can't put my finger on it. And I'm going to be talking about AI and the modding community, some really cool stuff that I've been digging into and learning more about. And then finally, we'll be going over a few comments at the end if we got time. So yeah, Giga, how's your week been? What you been into, man? You've been messing around with Sriracha?
Well, you know what's funny is that I was just kind of like, this event it's cool and it's good, but I'm just not sure if I'm really, I don't know, just like not really in the mood to be doing it. I feel like very much, I want to continue finishing off the things that I'm doing kind of mode and not getting distracted by the event or whatever. Because like the event's fine, but it's also quite hard as a solo. Like you expect to kind of die quite a bit because like as soon as you start shooting at their cult dudes, then you end up, you invoke the wrath. Like I had one where I went and did it, and I was like, oh, one of the guys has run away, and then I ended up just getting like lugered from like a million miles away, and I was like, oh, this is just it's a bit painful. So what I've ended up doing is I basically just like been running maps and running my stuff without really thinking about it too much, and then just like interacting with the event like as and when it happens. Coincidentally, I've ended up playing quite a lot of Lighthouse, and ironically, Lighthouse, even though it's like a Zerachi event, Lighthouse seems like almost entirely unaffected. Like lots of people were saying, like, oh, I can't play, I can't wait until this event's finished. Like a lot of people are saying that the event's really good, but there's a few people who are like, I can't task. It's really like putting a dampener on me just getting progression because it's like so hard to extract, which we'll come on to in a minute about exactly how the mechanics work. But I was saying to people, look, if you want to just play and you don't want, I know certain tasks you need to go to certain maps, but if you just want to play and not be bothered by it, in the 2 streams that I've done on Lighthouse, I've only been affected by the ritual one time on both maps because I think Lighthouse of all the maps, like Zerachi just appears randomly somewhere, and it's very hard for people to find him because sometimes he's like in the rogue camp or he's like off in some back end of nowhere down by the waterline somewhere or something like that. And there's quite a lot of area Lighthouse, and so it's quite hard to find people on it. But it's in places where you wouldn't necessarily expect to go. I mean, I know people have had issues like this on other maps as well, like Interchange. I think I went and raided Valiant, who was playing with Jesse, and they were scouring Interchange to try to find Srirachi, and they were having to just leave because they spent nearly the full raid in there. It was just like, just can't find the guy, which is pretty funny. So yeah, I've just been carrying on down the Lightkeeper quest line, which is good. I ended up finding a final like COFDM radio whilst I was doing assessment, which is the one where you have to kill 20 players. This one used to be the awful one, which was like 20 players around the bridge, and then they expanded it to be pretty much like 20 players anywhere south of the water treatment facility. And we had some like cracking raids doing that. Got about 12 out of 20 so far, so we're doing all right. We had one raid where we got like 5 kills and then died, which is just insane. It's just like everybody showed up at Chalet, which was pretty nuts. So it's been fun, but we're just carrying on with that. Once we're through that, basically the big blockers is assessment, just because of the time commitment. And the other one is you need to get 2 SJ9 stims. Last wipe, I had 2 SJ9s just from running Scav and the Moonshine box, but this wipe, I only have 1. So we'll have to, think about what to do, whether I actually am going to go to labs. Like, I technically kind of don't want to, well, there's a way around it. I was going to say, I do have a black key card, so I could go and do the room, but everybody runs black because it's like, the only good room on labs. So, it's just like highly contested. So I don't know. Well, we're going to have to see. Hopefully I'll get lucky in the next couple of days or something, and I'll just get an SJ9, pop out of the Moonshine or whatever. So yeah, we'll see. But that's pretty much what I've been up to. Just chugging along, playing a lot of Lighthouse, doing various things. I've been having fun though. Been moved up to the good old RD. I'm level 44, and I've actually got the game up. So I've got. I mean, we must be so close now. Yeah, I've got 36k XP left until 45. So I'm like so close to BP.
Right.
And like throughout the wipe, I basically just collected BP slowly. And so I think at this point now, if I like look at this magazine, I've still got I've only got 56 left. I had like 350 or something BP, and I've been doing like 10 BPs in the top of the mag, like 5 in the other 2 mags, kind of thing.
Right.
To like get through. But I've got 50 left and 30k XP, and then I'll be able to do Intimidator, which is incredibly easy, and then I'll be able to buy BPs. Then it'll be much better. But stacking it with the old PP, which is good. So I'm just like alternating between the RD, and I'm doing some experiments with high capacity mags as well, which is quite fun. And I'm like kind of looking into that at the moment because I think it's cool. So I'm like alternating between M4 60 rounder, M4 40 rounder, RD 50 rounder, RD 40 rounder. The RD with the 40 rounder I think is actually quite underrated. Actually, it's pretty decent, and I've been
40 rounder. Oh, because
the AK 762 40 rounder,
right.
Because it's like, I mean, the RD doesn't really need it, but the drum has like 15 ergo negative. Whereas the 40 on it, like, because the RD shoots quite slowly, right? So it's not that bad. The 40's got -7, so you get an extra 8 ergo for taking the 40 rather than the 50, and it shoots pretty slowly, so it still feels like you've got plenty of bullets. But then you've got the whole 1x3 problem. So then I've been pairing it with the Osprey from Peacekeeper, or the Class 5, because I think it's the only one, probably is, I mean, it may be the only one you can buy with a 3x1 that's a rig and armored and Class 5, I believe. Because like the CPC, you could get the CPC, but you have to complete Longline.
Right.
I mean, you still need to do Peacekeeping mission to get the Osprey, but I did do that because that was part of the Lightkeeper requirement. So, and there's something else that we'll come on to, because like everything's got really super pricey. Like everything's gone completely insane. But the Osprey is a cash purchase. So normally in normal times, you're like, oh, this looks really expensive. It's right now it's like 1,440, which is about 212k. So it's quite a lot. But like at the minute, it actually seems quite fair because everything else has gone like this, and it's a cash purchase from the traders. It just stayed the same. So it doesn't actually seem too bad. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. It's been fun, actually. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. But I've just not felt like, I see people going and farming the cultists and taking red key cards and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just like, most people are doing it in groups. So I'm like, yeah, you can do it solo, but it's just kind of hard. I guess we should probably say about like how the event has ended up going, because I keep referencing it, but I haven't mentioned it yet. I haven't talked about it properly. So last week, the Halloween event was starting. We had the pumpkins of flea market, rupturing.
Right.
That was basically the only interesting thing about it. This week, at some point, I can't remember when it started, Tuesday, I think it was, they've added the real Halloween event, which is one of the biggest Poggers W-Win BSG, based event that we've had, I think, so far. Lots of people really, really like it. So what happens is you're playing the game, any map, except for Factory and Labs. Any map except for Factory and Labs. Zerachi will appear somewhere where Scavs spawn on the map. Somewhere. A player has to find Zerachi and kill him. Well, you don't have to kill him, actually, but if you do kill him, then it starts this thing called the ritual. And it shows up in the extracts. And what happens is the sky goes completely dark. An extra like extract appears. It's not actually an extract, but it's where it shows up. It's called ritual. And it's got like a 5-minute timer, I think. And somewhere on the map, the ritual appears. And it's got a big blue light that goes up into the sky. And it comprises of, I think, 6 cultists. I don't know if that number's variable, to be honest, because I've not farmed it that much. But I think it's about 6 cultists. And they all stand around this blue light, and they're all doing this like weird praying animation, which is quite cool. They've like added this specific thing to the game. I think it's pretty sick. And the idea is you can either go and kill all the cultists. If you shoot them and don't kill, like they seem to have a lot of HP. I don't know whether that's just like cultists just having a lot of HP. I should probably actually go and check.
I think they do have a.
I think they have quite a bit, because I was firing at them over reasonable distance with like 5.5A1. Oh, to be fair, they only have 50 head HP. Like I was shooting, maybe it was zeroing or something. I was like a decent distance away, but they've got 200 thorax. That could explain it. I feel like I shot these guys like 6 times, and they just didn't die. They're just not dying. But anyway, I think I killed 3 of them. I killed 2. The last guy, I shot at him, but he like ran away from the circle. And then a cultist appeared where he was standing. I thought that cultist was the one that I'd shot at who'd returned to the circle. It turned out he was actually running to kill me, and lugered me from Jupiter up the cliffs, which was very, very annoying. So you can go and just kill all the cultists and farm them. So they have, they have all the knives on them. If you want to complete that knife quest, I don't think it's really required for anything. But if you want to collect like the 10 cultist knives, you can do that very easily doing this quest if you want to. And you have the chance for all sorts of stuff, different armors, like meta hex grids and things like that, as well as, colored key cards in their pockets, things like that. So people are like farming them. But if you do let them complete the ritual after those 5 minutes, then what happens is they end up spawning Vengeful Zerachi, which is basically like a reincarnated version of Zerachi, which is absolutely insane. And he has 6,666 HP on every limb. So he's got something like 48,000 HP total, something completely bonkers like that. And I don't know how the mechanic works exactly, but he hunts down all the other players on the map from that point. There is only one extract, as we said, so everyone gets like forced through one extract. And I believe that he does actually just teleport to you and just start hitting you with his melee weapon. So he doesn't have a cult like poison dagger or anything, so it doesn't kill you straight away with the poison or anything. So you can take quite a few hits from him, but he will just run after you and melee you. And I have seen some people, if you get too far away from him, then he will pull out like an arse ass or something and just murder your ass, which is pretty insane. To make matters worse, if you're like close to Zerachi, your gun won't fire. You get 100% jam chance on your weapons. Now, whether this was intended or not, people have actually been able to kill Zerachi, and I don't know whether this was BSG's oversight or whether this was an intended thing that people were supposed to figure out to be able to get him. But there are various weapons in the game that don't jam. I've documented them before, and it typically involves basically weapons that have got a non-standard mechanism. So the PPSH can't jam in the actual main game, and so it can't jam near Zerachi. Double barrel shotgun can't jam. The revolver shotty. Presumably the revolver grenade launcher. I don't know, but those ones are really the main ones. So people have been able to kill him because I was like, how are you even going to kill him? Even if you do have the PPSH, that's crazy. But apparently he doesn't have any armor on at all, and so you can either shoot him in the thorax or the head. And because all the limbs have 6,666, you only have to do like just over 6,500 damage to his thorax to kill him, which you can do if you have like a drum mag PPSH and you use LRNPC. I mean, I don't even know how many that is. It's like 6,666 divided by, I think, what's LRNPC? Is it 58 or something? Something like that. So you have to shoot them 120 times. So there's like 2 drums and you can probably kill him if you shoot him all in the thorax, something like that. Or you have 2 people, it's eminently doable. So people have done that. He doesn't really have any loot on him. So you are like from a gaming like trying to maximize the event, you are better off just killing the cultists and taking their stuff, stopping the event. And if you stop the event, everything goes back to normal, which is good. But people have been doing some funny stuff with Vengeful Zerachi. I saw one clip on Reddit that was absolutely hilarious, which was the guy had him chasing him on woods, managed to keep close enough to him that he was using his melee, and he managed to extract out of the Scav PMC joint extract by running around in the area for 20 seconds with the guy like hitting him.
That's smart.
But he managed to survive and stay alive long enough that they both extracted together, which is just like, what a weird interaction of mechanics.
That's weird because I thought there was only one extract.
What do you mean?
There's only one extract available.
Yeah, so it was I think it was I guess, well, I wonder actually. That's a good point. I wonder maybe if the co-op one was the only one that was available. I mean, that seems crazy, but maybe it was. Maybe the co-op one's also available. I don't know. That's a good point, though. I'm not sure. I didn't really think about that.
Always on?
Maybe it was always on, or maybe it was bugged and worked anyway. I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't really know. But one weird thing about it is that, I think having one exfil is probably the biggest criticism of the event, if there was going to be any. That and the fact that it's just permanently on all the maps. Like, they've done it in the past where there's been a map rotation. You could do like half the maps and then the other half the maps, so you could like opt out of the event if you wanted, I think, or at least like leave one map where it's not happening. I think that's usually quite a good idea for people who just like really don't want to play it. But broadly speaking, it's been pretty well received. And the extract timer, by the way, for the extract that is open goes up from 5 seconds, whatever it is, to like 20 seconds. It's like really long. You're like sat at the extract for ages, so you can be, I was going to say, easily camped. There was one raid where it was actually the second raid. So the first raid, which was the one that you were showcasing on the screen, that was the one where I found the cultists after the event had started and shot at them and died. The second one was like in the following stream where the event, got activated or whatever, and the ritual was activated, and Southern Road was the only extract available on Lighthouse, which is quite a niche extract.
Right.
And so I was like, oh well, we need assessment kills anyway. Like let's just exfil camp this thing. Like why not? I don't care. Let's just do it. And I sat there for like, by the time I got there, I sat there for like the 3 minutes that the ritual was going on.
Mhm.
And then it was like, ritual completed or something. And everyone was like, you need to get out now because Ivachi's like, he's going to be coming. And nobody came. So presumably just like either people had left already, but it wasn't that far into the raid. Like, so people either left or like everyone died. Except for me, which is pretty nuts. Because I mean, if you're up by the road camp, Southern Road is a long ass way.
Well, how much time was left on the raid when you left?
I would have to go and check. I can't remember. But yeah, it was.
But I guess
it wasn't too far through.
I guess it's failed, then it's likely no one's there, I would guess. Or maybe there's someone, but they're gonna die eventually, right?
Yeah, because they'll have Zerachi chasing after them forevermore with his like billion HP. And unless you just so happen to have a revolver on you or a PPSH.
Can you outrun him with like stems?
I think you can outrun him. Yeah, I think you can outrun him anyway. I don't think he goes that fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like a normal.
I think he just walks with the knife.
Oh, okay.
So, but if you go too far away, he shoots you. So you kind of have to like kite him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he just guns you down. I believe. Like I've not actually fought against Evil Zerachi at the moment, but I've only seen I've seen a ton of clips of it. To be fair, I've only seen the cult guys because like you don't really have any incentive in bringing him into play if you have the option, right? Like you really just want to kill the cult people. The only other thing,
agent of chaos.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that, or you're just interested to see what he has. But I think people already did it, and like he doesn't really have anything. He's just got his special mask for the event, but that's about it. And the other thing is that there was a bunch of people who were like unable to see the blue light, so they just couldn't figure out where the cult thing was. They're like, where is it? And it's just they can't see it. And apparently, it's like an LOD setting thing. If you don't have your LOD set at some like normal amount, then you may not be able to see it. I don't think that necessarily is always true. But I did see some people saying that was a fix for it because I keep mine somewhere in the center. I think I've got my LOD settings are like 3.5, which is like the one just from the top, and like 2000 for overall visibility. So it was never really a problem for me. But yeah, apparently that is an issue for some people. So, but yeah, otherwise, good event. To be honest, good event.
Yeah, I watched Leviticus he posted a video about it recently. And yeah, he said like he really enjoyed it because he made a comment like it turns out when you incentivize people to move around the map, they move. Which kind of is kind of funny to me, but
yeah, and I think it's I was just going to say I think that because of that, like because people have been playing like pretty cautiously this wipe, I reckon there's just a lot of people. I reckon net worths are probably higher than ever. People just aren't spending that much money on kits, right? There's a lot of SVT use and stuff like that.
You said net worths are higher than ever?
Yeah, I think people are just sat on like tons of money. This will like lead into I'm going to talk about the economy, but yeah.
Yeah, and then like I mean I kind of because I didn't play the event. I mean I was kind of intrigued, but just the thought of playing Tarkov vanilla right now is just not in the cards for me. But watching him, him talk about and explain it, it is like he was like it was great except for one thing, which was the one extract. I mean, there's a few other things, but that was like the big gripe because then like it just makes it so easy to extract camp. I just like I really like I just hate like it's I guess the only reason like if you just need gear, then like extract camp's super viable. You know what I mean? But if you actually need those cultist skills, then it's a bit of a different story.
Yeah. So, also, like it's only the way that I put it is you only get 5 minutes once the ritual begins. You don't know what extract it's going to be. So it's kind of hard to like set up for it, if you know what I mean. And then once the ritual is successful, you're also at risk from evil Zerachi as well. So I don't think like extract camping is doable, but it's not like it is in the regular game. You know, like you could just play interchange and just park up at Emacom and just wait. Like it's not like that because you have to like guess the extract, and you also might get stabbed by Turbo Zerachi yourself. So I don't think it's necessarily too bad. I just don't think it was necessary to have the extracts all open like that.
I think that's the point. Is like it's why have it one extract? Like in the event that it fails, I can kind of see some logic there. But like if you're successful in stopping the event, why is it still one extract? Because then it just like it just hyper incentivizes people to to use that situation to their advantage.
Now that's something I can't remember. If you stop the thing and it goes back to day, I actually can't remember if the extracts reopen. I can't remember.
It's still they still say this closed.
They still say closed. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably the case, but yeah, that's they should just reopen, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise it looks like a lot of fun. I think they did a really good job too. I love the animations they do, and they're really really poking at that blue flame, and the nice guy's flipping his shit right now. But it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. So the interesting sort of follow-on effect for that is in-game economy, which right now is great. Honestly, it's crazy, really insane at the moment. And it's because there's kind of like a push and pull effect happening. It's like a supply effect and a demand effect both at the same time, which is really like, and it's across the whole econ of Tarkov. It's not even like certain items are worse than others for sure, and some items are kind of, I would say at best, items are like unaffected. Something like Moonshine is kind of like unaffected by this. Everything else is like strictly more expensive. Like piles of meds, like anything medical, any gear, crafting inputs. Like it's just like it's so broad. It's crazy. It's crazy how this has worked. And basically, what's happened is this is sort of what I alluded to by saying that we've probably got like high net worth, and I've got people in chat saying like, yeah, I got like 50 mil. You know, I've got 50 mil. I've been semi focusing on money a bit just for the hell of it. I've got like tons of cash. You know, you see various people who've just got like loads and loads and loads of money, and I think people have been playing quite cautiously and have got a ton of money. And now this is like the first big PvP event where you can get like mad loot, and loot that's not even purchasable, right? You can go for cultists, you can get key cards off them, you can get like hex grids and class 6s and things that are just like annoying or hard to get normally. And so and good PvP, and people are moving around because they want to go in for the PvP. So everybody's like turned up with their like vast wads of cash, and they're just spending money on the PvP gear. And so you go from something like the ULAC, which I mean, like a month ago, I would say the ULAC was probably 80 to 90,000 rubles, something like that. And I brought up, I did have it somewhere. Did I put it on a different? I put it on a different browser. Let me put it up here. Yeah, so the ULAC 7 days ago was 115k on average. And then the last Wednesday, let's see, there was the peak for ULACs going for 230,000 each. Black ULACs, absolutely insane. It has come down a little bit since then, but it's still like, you're going to be paying like 150 for ULAC. If I look like right now on the flea and go and see exactly what they're pricing at right this minute at some random time of the day. So it's basically 130,000 is what you could be paying for, which is mad. And so they've been selling it on the trader. Like everything's just been going crazy. Like I do one of my favorite crafts in the hideout is the DVD drive into circuit boards. DVD drives have been pricing at like 30k sometimes. But you can't do the Magbox craft anymore from the blue fuel containers because nuts and bolts are literally 30,000 each, if not more. Like everything's gone crazy. Yeah. And so as well as everybody going and buying all of the good gear and it just driving all the prices of all those things up, the reason why all the inputs are expensive is because Scavs are having a hard time getting out of the raid, because yeah, Lighthouse is relatively unaffected, but people scav on all kinds of maps, right? Like woods or customs or whatever. And people are getting like stung by they go in, they loot some stuff, and then then one exfil appears. They either can't get out, or they run out early, or they die to Zerachi, or whatever, right? Or they just die to players because it's PvP people who are like geared everywhere, just like looking for Shift W kill opportunities rather than looting. The PMCs probably aren't looting because they're looking for cultists. So it's like the whole economy is just like shifted, right? There's less supply of these items. There's more demand for all of those like high end things, and so the whole thing is just like shifted up like crazy. It's absolutely mental. I think like, yeah, if you want to be, I think even though golden stars have gone up a lot, I think golden stars are now like nearly 90k, 100k. Oh, I think I bought some for 100k the other day. If you want to buy pro patrols, you're looking at 30. And bearing in mind, people don't really like the painkiller effect. You're now looking at basically just under 35k per pro patrol.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
which is the highest I've seen it.
They're at the price they used to be normally before the painkiller changes.
Yeah, and it's because of the pro patrol price, I think, and because of the crafts. Because you can basically craft a stack of 7 pro patrols and make 238,000 rubles now.
Yeah,
which is a lot. So golden stars and ibuprofens have gone up because those are the inputs. I also think that people are starting to realize that I don't know, it's hard. Like I did the stims guide recently. This was the last video that I did, and it really is a sort of toss up between: do I want my peripheral vision? Do I want to have a black leg? Like, if I get black leg and I'm not pre-pained, I'm basically dead unless I'm behind cover. So if I'm out in the open, I'm just gonna die. Like even trying to pop adrenaline in 2 seconds often is like too long. It's already too long. You're already dead, right? If you got black light, unless it's an instant thing, 2 seconds is already enough time for somebody to just mag dump you and kill you. So golden stars, yeah, they're like 84 at the moment, but I think they're clearing for like 95. And ibuprofens, they're like 64k. Yeah, so it's this golden star thing that's like driving, Propitol thing that's driving everything up. But yeah, everything's mad expensive. Like Aces, I think they were going for the therapist price at one point. They erased the phased arrays. They're like 200 and something thousand rubles each because I think they're part of the Bralo barter. I think I can't remember if there's another thing, but it's the Bralo barter. People are anything that's gear related is just going completely bonkers. So actually, there's one interesting. Let's see what the contact falls are worth. Oh my god, contact falls are kind of like the bellwether of chattiness. Yeah, so those headsets are 220,000 each now, which is insane. That's insane. I think even the XLs are super expensive. The XL headset, which is like, that's like, these all sell at the trader price thing because of the various charts that people have come out with about like which headsets, which distance. At the moment, they're at 100,000 rubles.
Man.
For a set of like second tier. Like they're good, don't get me wrong, but they're like second tier headsets. So yeah, if you do go in and do manage to scrape some stuff out, you make a ton of money now. I advise going on to Lighthouse because hardly anybody is on that map. There's loads of high value items on that map. It's easy to get out as a scav, actually. And I've been playing it doing assessment, and some of the raids where there's been nobody there, we've been like a Bitcoin, a golden egg, some bolts, a couple of this, that, and the other, a few parts, a few weapons parts that are meta, and just been getting out with tons of cash. Like I can't remember how much I had last week when we were talking, but I wouldn't be surprised if I made 10 mil since last week just playing Lighthouse.
Give me 2 seconds. Be right back.
Sure. Just had to whiz off super quickly. But yeah, all the items are so expensive at the moment. But yeah, if you could stay alive and if you could not die, then it's good. And I think like a lot of the hideout crafts as well, if you can get the hideout crafts going in the right way, then it's all right. Like workbench wise, I've just finished. Well, I was going to say like doing the DVDs. It's only 16k at the moment, but I think that's gone up because of the PCBs are like 25,000, and that's because they're for the 60 rounder barter. You need 2 PCBs and a GM counter to get a 60 rounder for an M4. People are doing that one a lot as well. Cost of living also hitting Tarkov. Yeah, proper inflation. But I do think it's just a ton of people with money just coming out of the woodwork to play the event. It's like finally getting people to actually use kits because like it's been the SVT wipe, been the SVT wipe for sure. And people thinking, what's the point of me taking in any gear because I'll just die to some guy with an SVT. But yeah, like water filters, for example, water filters are 160k.
Apologies.
You're good?
Yes.
No worries. I was just saying about the water filter. The water
Mhm.
filter in the hideout is now 160,000 rubles.
Wow.
But that's because that's actually a weird effect. Okay, so this is like another weird thing. So I said like pretty much strictly everything's gone up or been unaffected. The one thing that did go down was sugar because they added the pumpkins and you get sugar out of the pumpkins.
Right.
So sugar got cheaper, but demand for moonshine stayed the same. And so what ended up happening was canisters for purified water went up to 180k, and then sugars went down to sort of 40, 50. So moonshines are still 270, 280, but the water bit's gone up, and so the filters are now more valuable. So you have to buy your filters for 140k, but then you could sell the water for 180 or 170, or you could craft moonshines, whichever. But I do find it interesting the way these things balance out.
Yeah.
Like the player base is a very good sort of test bed for economics in general. You can just see what people do and why it ends up doing the things that it does, because it's the free market to some extent. It's a market with certain rules and certain restrictions, and you get to see the emergent player behavior for free, which is interesting and kind of fun. Oh yeah, also the fuel for the hideout has also gone crazy because I think that's like Scavs mainly taking that stuff out. Because usually as PMC, you don't normally bother looting fuel. It's usually not worth it like per slot. The big one is 6 slots. So it's like, it's kind of hard to take that out.
Carry the weight of it.
Yeah, 6 slots, you got to carry the weight. And like, even if sometimes it's worth it, usually the way that you stack your PMC is you've got your bag and then it's filled with rigs with like space increase. So even though it's like, okay, well, it's, what is it worth to me? Well, it's worth 1660 or 166k, sorry. So that's like 27,000 per slot. But in order to take it, like I have to drop this rig, and if the rig is like a 6 to 10, like say you've even got something basic like the bank robber, that's like a 6 slot into 10 slot multiplier. I think. Oh wait, no, it's 8 to. No, I'm thinking of the CSA. So you've got the CSA rig. That's 8 slots into 12, and so any items that you've got in there are kind of like worth half again as much of like the base value, but you can't put the 6 slot fuel into anything. So it's interesting how that kind of ends up panning out. And because it's scavs who are mainly taking these things out, they're the ones who are having issues getting out because they're usually spawning later into the raid. They're more likely to be affected by the ritual because that usually happens later on to the raid. Whereas like PMC, you can get in and out relatively easily. Like blue fuels are now 130, metal fuels are 190. So we're back to like doing the barters / buying them directly from Jaeger. You want to max out your hideout, but with fuels. Anyway, I don't know. I find this stuff super interesting. It's I'm always on the lookout for things like this. You get like big, I guess, what would you call them? Like disruption events in the market for whatever reason, and stuff just changes and shifts around. And then you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? Like, should I craft something else? Should I go and loot different things? But yeah, Lighthouse has been working for me. If you want to make a ton of money, Lighthouse is a good one. At the minute, it seems to be least affected by the event, and there's still good loot on Lighthouse. People mainly like to play street style for Scav, but yeah, I think Lighthouse is still certainly a good choice. I think so. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So, I guess kind of just rolling in to, it's kind of a nebulous topic because I can't really put my finger on it. As you know, I've been playing SP, Tarkov SP. I've been playing it pretty much all week, and it's not the same experience as the Tarkov we know and love, but it's still like the similar beats, right? And there's still this sense that like something's off with Tarkov, and like I said, it's a very nebulous thing, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's like there's times where just like it feels very tedious to play the game still, I guess is one aspect. Like when you're in the stash and you have to, because I have like a 50 or 500 slots, right, in the stash. It's a standard account, so like 10 was it 10 columns?
It 10 by 13 or something? I can't remember.
I think it's 10 by 50, I think.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's a lot bigger, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. 13 would be crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy. But it's still kind of small because, dude, I mean, like a rig takes up 4 by 3, so I mean, it's just, and then it's so annoying because then like it's like I don't know. It's just a weird thing because it kind of also ties into grind, which like I don't mind grind in games as long as the grind is engaging, and obviously engagement's gonna like what people's reaction to engagement's gonna like vary. You know what I mean? Like, somebody could say, "Oh yeah, I really like spending 30 minutes in my stash moving items around trying to fit everything in. That's super engaging." Someone, I'm sure someone could claim that, and I guess that'd be valid. But just for me, it's just sometimes it's really annoying, and it's like you can't really do anything. It's not like I can just like I have to like I have to have the resource. Like, I don't know. It's like you're punished for keeping things, but you need to keep a lot of things to craft stuff. It's just like I don't know. It's so there's like some weird. I don't know. That's like one aspect of it. Because I was thinking too in like Rust, you because the resources, like if I needed more storage, right? It's like, what do? Okay, you expand your base. How you do that? You need wood, and then you need materials to reinforce it. So you need like stone or metal. So you got to like have those things on hand. And then if it's metal, like you can't just use metal ore that you mine from a rock. You have to like cook it and make metal fragments. But presumably, if you have those stuff, resources on you, you can just make more storage instantly. And it's like it's not. Whereas like in Tarkov, it's like I have to find specific items. I mean, if you're playing on EOD, you don't have to worry about that. But your standard account, dude, it's like you need a hand drill, like the most irrelevant bar item in the game because it probably like is only meaningful for a third of the player base, I imagine. I've always like
one upgrade too.
Yeah, I've always wondered what the rate to ratio is for like standard and EOD because I just feel like the majority is EOD, but I don't know for sure. It's really hard to say.
It is really hard to say. I just like the very small tangent. There was a poll put up by Krand, I think, on Twitter. I'll just find it quickly now. But he was saying about like, don't worry if you think everybody's like high level or whatever, because like, I've done the usual poll and it looks like the same as normal. Yeah. So he said 32% level 1 to 20, 35% 21 to 42, 12% 42 plus, and 20% not playing. So he was like, don't worry about it. But I had like a quick chat with him about just commenting on it, saying it's hard to square the circle between that poll. Firstly, as other people pointed out, there's a selection bias in people who are answering the poll. If he's a Tarkov tips for beginners kind of thing or intermediate players, there's always going to be a skew to that. But there's like something worse, which is you also like to decide like, oh, everybody in your raids is, low level, so don't worry. There's a skew to it, which I did actually read somewhere else, and I was like, that's a very good point. And it's that even though 12% of the people are level 42 plus, is that actually more game time than levels 1 to 20 being 32% of the player base? Like, probably. Because the amount of raids that you need to run to get to level 42 is like so much higher than even to get to level 20. Yeah. So even if it's like a third of the number of players are level 42 plus versus level 1 to 20, those players are probably playing 10 times the amount. And so the actual number of people of level 42 plus you're going to meet in your raids is way higher than you expect. Because those are the people that are playing all day, or they're playing, multiple hours in the evening.
Right.
I've never really understood how to square that circle because you kind of need to have you'd need to do a poll of like, what's everyone's level? You always just need like a snapshot. Like you can't really do it from the stats very well because like you need like everybody's level and how many raids they've played. But that only tells you kind of like
history.
Yeah, history kind of, and it's like 2 months ago everyone played like half the raids. You can make some assumptions. Like it would tell you more. Let's put it that way. But you'd kind of need from BSG to say like on a particular day, how many players in it? What was the average level on a particular day? That's kind of what you would really want if you wanted to analyze this properly. And I suspect it's quite skewed, which is why you end up you're fighting level 30 plus like all the time.
Yeah,
even though it looks like the broad player base is low level, but they play less by definition because that's why they're low level in the first place. It's like those two things are they're like correlated, right?
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
So I've never really understood how to square that. It was just as a random side tangent. I thought it was an interesting one. So I completely derailed you though.
No, it's relevant because I mean, like, in the same vein, if you're gonna be playing more, this is kind of the argument my friend made to me why I should just buy EOD, is because like, Church, you play this game so much, you could just play the game more, like literally be in raid more if you just spend an extra however many dollars and have more stat space. And it's like, fuck, you're right. I can't really argue with that. Like, why am I putting this self-imposed, like, oh, I want to be extra hard. It's like, it's not really, anyways. So yeah, it makes sense, right? I mean, if you're gonna be playing more, you might as well buy EOD, and like you're kind of in-game virtual monetarily incentivized to do so.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's just something that's, like you said, I'm just trying to like, it's just something with Tarkov's like formula just feels slightly off. Like I think there's something there, but I just can't really get that square peg rounded into fit in that round hole. You know what I mean?
Even on the SP. You know what? Back in the day, I used to really enjoy the Stash Tetris, actually. Like when I was a new player.
I still kind of like it, but
yeah, and I still kind of like it too. But like I'm now definitely into that. Like, cause back, let's say back 4 wipes ago or something, there's absolutely no chance you would ever have caught me selling everything to Fens for my Scav, right?
Yeah.
And I do that all the time now.
Right.
Like, because it doesn't even, like, it doesn't matter. Like, what am I going to end up with 60 million rather than 40 million? Like, it doesn't, it's like meaningless numbers. Like, I take the stuff that's like super valuable. I don't just sell, like, I'm not going to sell an ETG stim to Fence. Let's put it that way. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. And I'll take the grenades. If I'm using anything for crafting, I'll take those. But like, level 3 armors that are half damaged, like weapons that come off my Scav, bandages and whatever. Those things I'll basically take. But actually one like weird and interesting side effect of that is that now on Scav, I'll hoover up everything because I know I don't have to deal with it. And it ends up actually adding up. Like, so I don't know, maybe these things balance out. Because like back in the day, like I wouldn't take the knives, I wouldn't take the bandages, I wouldn't take, the caps and the hats and whatever it was, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to go and like manually sell them to Ragman and da. But now I can get to the end of the thing and just press sell everything. I just take a couple of things and just sell everything. So now I just like fill my Scav. My Scav's like completely like every single slot is like filled out half the time. If I do loot, that is, and I'm not just doing a run through. So maybe it does end up balancing out because I've got like tons of junk which ends up equating to 30k or something every single raid. So yeah, I don't know, things are roundabouts. But yeah, like back in the day, I would never have done that. But now it's just I'm much lazier with it, and I want it to be fast and I want it to be quick and efficient. Like I still like it, but not in the same way. I used to really get great enjoyment out of it, but it's a bit different now.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Is like, when it in your mind when it matters, it's like, this is how you engage with it. It's like you do that thing and it feels good because you're engaging with it, you're doing the right things, but it's like very tedious. But then like when that starts becoming less important, it's just like it feels like a chore. Like it's not, you know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just, that's like I was kind of feeling that vibe, and I don't really know if there's like any. It's just something that just feels a bit off. But like the other thing that was kind of just like bugging me a bit was, I don't know, there's like this weird dichotomy where it's like you want to like play the game, right, and you want to like get the good stuff, but to do that you have to take risk, and on top of that you got to go to the extracts, which are like risky. It's an objective, and like specifically with the extracts, there's this problem in Tark. In my mind, it's a problem, anyways. Where you have to run into like extract camping, right? It's like a possibility, and I think the downside of it is you have to engage with the predetermined layout of the map. So like the great example is like interchange, right? Evercom extract sucked. As many of you probably know, I have like sworn off Emercon. I will take backpackless. Like I pretty much exclusively bring no backpack to interchange. I just always take backpackless because I just don't want to deal with the extract camp. It's just extremely the odds are not in my favor at all. And I find that like you're kind of at the whims of the predetermined map design or developer in a way, which I guess isn't really a it's kind of a neutral thing, I suppose. But I think in the case of Emercon extract, it's maybe poorly designed in that aspect. But nonetheless, what I was thinking is like, well, what if like instead of you being force engaged with the predetermined extracts, what if you just could instead be liberated? I'm oppressed by these extracts. No, you can instead be liberated by like engaging with it in a way where you can like create your own scenario of extracts. So like the cycle, for example, it had still predetermined extracts, right? But they were scattered and it was randomized a bit, if I recall
and you
correctly.
Could pick a bit more, and you had to call one in.
You had a bit more choice there. But what if instead you just like there was no predetermined extracts, right? And to extract, you had to shoot a flare, or you had to like do something that would like start the extract process, and it would like alert people. So that way you could like, based off your situation, you could have some like agency in choosing where you could extract, like strategic strategies. Because like on one hand, I don't have a problem with people engaging at the extracts for like PvP or the risk factor involved. But I just find that the way it's set up, it's like very I don't know, very like restricted, and like especially the predetermined side, like the knowledge factor can do some really wonky things. There's like, in some ways, if you're fighting someone on one side of the map and you guys disengage, and then it's like the timer's running out, and it's like, well, I know like he's got to extract, I got to extract also. So if I get to the extract first, I can sit here and wait, and then if he doesn't come, it's fine. I'll just extract if he does, and it's like, you know what I mean. There is some kind of like weird thing there that I've done before, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But
it's true. It's true. I feel like it's more of a problem. Like, I don't know, because think about somewhere like Streets, like that kind of is the case. Like, I know it's fixed, and there's the one with the flare where you have to do the thing, and there's a vehicle one, but there's like enough extracts that it doesn't matter. I think like once you've got enough extracts, I think it's fine. Like, no one ever really complains about customs or Streets, but it's just an interchange specific thing. There's just not enough. There's only 2, and at each raid you basically just get 1. There's like no requirement exfil, there is only 1. Like customs is just different like that, right? So I know there's I don't know. I'm always surprised. I'm still surprised to this day that more people don't camp ZB, whatever it's called, like 1011, whichever one it is. The one in like the far corner, and you go down the little stairs in the factory area of customs,
near factory far corner.
Yeah, near factory far corner. I'm astounded that extract doesn't get camp more, because it's a prime candidate for it. Like if you spawn on the other side of the map, like where can you actually leave out of? Like you could go all gas. You've got the main the bit under fortress, but that's also a key. The old gas has to be open. There's the vehicle extract, but they're all like required extracts, right? If you spawn on that side of the map, you're probably going out of 10-11. And it's just I don't think I've ever been extract camp there, right? Like not ever. Like I'm sure people do it, but it's just so rare. It's so rare. And I'm always amazed. It's like Evercom, it's just like it's so bad. I mean, I know it's like it's more clear cut, but because it's like, what are your options? The no loot exfil. The exfil where you have to run through half the mall, turn on power, like run upstairs, run downstairs,
and
open
have
the door.
The 10 million key card or whatever.
And have the key card's really cheap.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because people were saying to me the other day, like,
expensive back in the day.
It used to be really expensive, and now it's really cheap. Is it 11SR? I can't remember.
I think so.
Or is it the other one?
Sounds right.
Is it
pretty sure
21WS? I think it's 11SR.
I think it's 11.
Yeah, 11SR is 66k.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
15 uses. It's so cheap because
people must really not
ever
like
uses it. Yeah.
Why does no one use it though?
I don't really know.
surprised.
I'm not sure. So my chat kind of like bullied me into buying one.
Yeah, totally worth.
And yeah, whereas I don't know about WS.
I mean, it's kind of a pain to do, and like, again, it's kind of one of those things. Like a seasoned interchange player will know to check the extracts. I don't know. So if you're playing on Scav, you can't actually see it.
True.
But if you're playing on PMC, what I mean by see it is like you have to if you tap if you pull up your extracts as a PMC, you'll see that the safe room exfil, if it's green, that means someone has swiped the key card, I believe.
Think so. I'm never very good at this on interchange because it now might be just power is on.
I think it's power.
I can't remember anymore.
I'm pretty sure it's power.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's the power. So that's like that's like, so you know someone did the power. So like you can always keep and then you just you manually check and see if the door's open. So if the door's open, you like someone's coming down to check it, and you know where they are coming from. Like they have to come from upstairs and Burger. It's like there's just a lot of like free intel essentially. It's kind of, I mean, I guess checking for the door isn't free, but like it showing that the power is on. Anyways.
Yeah, well, people in chat are saying that is right. It's green means power on, red means it's been taken already. Which I think I thought that was the way it was now, but like they keep changing it, and I keep forgetting because I'm not an interchange main.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that it would make for an interesting way to engage with the game, because like BSG could do an event, which would be pretty interesting. But like I'm not really saying that the way it's done now in Tarkov is bad per se. Like it's just a way to do it. But I think it'd be really interesting where you could essentially call an extract anywhere, almost anywhere. Like if you're in a fight at dorms and whatever, and you win, or maybe you kill some bosses or loot something you really need, then you could like go to the roof of 3-story and shoot a flare, and like everyone's gonna see that flare, so they're gonna know what's up. But like you have to now you're defending the position. You know what I mean? And they're coming for you. Like it's much different than you're sort of like having to go to the thing and you're trying to, secure the win. And
it's because in that situation, right, you're the one who's kind of you're being proactive. You're opening an extract, and then people are like reacting to you. Whereas the other way, it's like people are proactively going to the extract, and you have to just go there at some point. So you're the one who's kind of on the back foot or being reactive or whatever. I actually quite like that as an idea, though, like exfils that are in the middle of the map. So it's like they're much quicker, but they take like 30 seconds to exfil. Something like Pier Boat is like a 30-second exfil, or like 20-second exfil. It's like a long time. But it's because it's in the middle of the map, and it's really exposed. So it sort of makes sense because of the risk. I mean, I got shot at there the other day. It's terrifying. But yeah, like something like that where it's like really obvious, there's a big flare, or like, it's a helicopter thing or something, it comes down and like picks you up off the roof of dorms or whatever. It's like super obvious, but it takes a while to allow people to react to it, like a minute or something. I do quite like the idea of that, honestly, as in addition to the existing ones. It's like you could take the ones that are safe, quote unquote, but sometimes there might be somebody waiting. Or you could take these like, reactive ones that it's hard for people to, maybe there's a few spots around the map where they can happen. So it's like technically safer, but there's more risk like in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, as you say, you're defending the area, like, you have to just wait for a certain amount of time and not get killed while it comes in. I think it's quite a cool idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a game that had exclusively that, where you got to decide, and then you could see how the meta would develop around that. Because like, if you wanted to like do the safest extract spot, let's say there's like a forest in the middle of nowhere, and you could like, at the edge of the map, you could call the extract or whatever. It's like you could do that fine, but like you just have to go there and do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's like, whereas like if you just like do the extract in the hotspot in the middle of the map because you want to get out quick, it's like risk. It's an interesting. I think it kind of provides some interesting dichotomies and player agency and ways to engage with the game.
Imagine the content for that as well. Tagged and cursed, but for PMCs. I just turn up in the hotspot and just light the flare and just come to me, baby,
Oh yeah, you could
let's
you could
let's do it as a
dang it, I
bait.
didn't think about that. Yeah, you could just use it as bait, like not even actually commit to it. That's actually pretty interesting. Maybe you would have to do it where like I don't know. I don't know if that would be a problem or not. But yeah, that could be interesting.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny how long a minute is. I was watching Glorious play just like casually on another screen while I was like doing some stuff, and he went to the car exfil on customs, pressed it, but then there was somebody like there straight away, so he like dropped his bag, ran into dorms, and he had this like chase this guy through like the second floor, like the top floor, and they like disappeared off. He like shot them from the roof. He like jumped down, grabbed his bag, ran over, and literally the car was just like like it was like 2 seconds away from the exfil. But I was surprised it hadn't gone way earlier because like when you're in the middle of watching somebody in action, a minute is a really long time actually. It's just like a random thing. I was like, oh man, I can't believe the car's like only just leaving now. Like I felt like he pressed it ages ago, but it's because he's been like chasing this dude all over the map and like hunting him down all over dorms. But yeah, we can imagine stuff like that where it's just like the Thunderdome for 2 minutes or something as the helicopter comes in or whatever, and whoever wins all the loot and just gets out straight away.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I kind of like the idea of it. It sounds fun.
Yeah, there's one other thing that I'll try to be brief on, and it's another thing that's kind of like feels off to me, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Is the this like risk reward slash weight looting thing we got going on, and I feel like I'm starting to get a bit more of what someone like what Landmark might have some gripes about with like the weight
Yeah.
system. And to share like an example, um within the SPT mod I'm playing, there's the path the target, or it's actually called Traveler, and it's the map to map travel, yada yada yada. So I have to like move loot around from traders to traders, right? So like I made like I don't know, I was like on factory, I had like took a bunch of stuff from mechanic that I had there. I was gonna go to like Prapper or someone and like move it for like quests and various hideout upgrades, whatever. So I had like a bunch of like really valuable stuff on me. And as you know, I can only secure so much of my containers. So like there's a lot of like really meaningful stuff and I'm like heavy, etc. And I died and I lost it all. I was like, damn, that really sucks. And because it's kind of, it's skewed, obviously the bots aren't also engaging the way I'm engaging. They're not taking loot from one trader to another. They're like at best they're looting the map. So it's skewed in that aspect. But I don't know. It's just this weird thing where when I'm not like super thick and loaded out, like I'm like very low investment, it's really fun to get in combat and win. And then now it's like you just got this huge come up, right? And at some point the come up could be too big. I had another raid customs where I killed this level 56 PMC bot who was like fully kitted out. He had like the X, or not, what's it called?
Was it the exfil?
No, the helmet. Is it the exfil helmet with like the
Yeah,
ears?
the Wendy, Team Wendy.
Yeah, that's it. He had that. Some type of. He had a raid backpack, a really cool looking RSS with a thermal on it. This was like huge for me. And I was like trying to loot this other PMC that had like some armor, and I was like a giga overweight. I was just like instantly draining stamina. So I took the chance to like walk it out. Like I would take maybe like, I don't know, 10, 15 steps and just have no stamina. It was really bad. So and I got punished and I got shot at and died. It's like, well fuck, I got too greedy, which is a common theme for me. But this is this, but getting to my point is like there's just this weird thing where like you want to engage in like PvP, but then to like secure the win for it doesn't always feel good. Whereas I was thinking like in Rust, there's this common thing where people do what they call roams, where they just like bring out a kit and their objective is like just go around the world and look for PvP to kill people and loot them for their stuff.
Right.
And because there's no weight system, it's just slots, single slots. It really changes how you loot and you're not like punished for it. So if you get into like, let's say you're a god gamer like me, of course, and you kill, a bunch of people with AKs and So now you got all these armor pieces in your slots. You're trying to min max. You got the AKs, so you got like you're like completely decked out. Like if one naked with a yoga kills you, it's like, oh, it's like the same thing. But like you're fully rewarded as much as you can, anyways, for killing, like doing the roam. You know what I mean? Like
Are you slower or anything? Like, you penalized at all
no,
for carrying all that stuff? I think that's the difference, right?
no. I think that's the difference. But that's what I mean. Is like it feels. That's kind of what I'm getting. Is like it feels weird because when you do the PvP engagement in Tarkov, as you keep doing that, you're kind of like actively punished more in a sense. Like you're more penalized, I guess. Which feels bad. So it's like you almost don't want to do that. But I don't know. So there's just something there that's like kind of weird. And someone else had brought up an interesting point that I haven't thought of. It's like why is there? I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but just why is there slot sizes and variations and also weight? When you're looting, you know what I mean? Like you already have to play Tetris, so then why is there weight? I mean, the rhetorical answer there is like, realism, right? Weight and such. But I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just kind
and
of
risk reward, I suppose. It's like another element on top of it. But like as we said last time, like, you're already risking it because you've got that stuff. Like the stuff itself is the risk.
yes.
It's like
additive.
It's compounding on itself. Yes,
right.
It's like, oh, you've got the most risk because you've got the most stuff, and then also because you've now got the most stuff, you're now also got detrimental stat debuffs as well. On top of that, which is it's like I don't know. Like as I said, I've kind of softened on that as well over time. I still think that the weight system is fine because it still makes people like make choices about things, but I just feel that it scales up too much too quickly, and I think you get like Giga overweight, like I can't move, stamina draining kind of overweight too early. / I think the maximum effect is probably just too high. I think you could let everybody at least move without draining stamina as a walk, because you're already slow, right? You're slower than normal, and you have to walk. Like you can't sprint fast anymore. I don't feel like it's necessary. Like I feel like you could delete red stamina. No, sorry, red weight from the game, and the game would be fine. I don't think you'd.
I think so too. Right?
I don't think you'd affect the game enough. Right? You already take you take an ergo debuff, you take a move speed debuff. Like there's enough. Like rather than just being like you've won all this stuff or you found all this stuff, you are just categorically not allowed to take this. Like obviously you can use stims, but like outside of sim usage for like the regular player, it's just like you've earned all of these things, but now you have to choose which bits you're going to take with you. I think it's a sliding scale, right? Like there's one end of the scale on Rust where you don't really have to choose; you're just on slots only, and if you've got the slots for it, you could just take everything. On the other end of the scale, you've got something more like Tarkov, which is, you really have to choose based on slots. You already make the choice based on your bag. Now you have to fit it in, and you also have to be able to carry it. Like just fitting it in isn't enough. You also have to be able to carry it too.
Yeah.
So you might need to get rid of some heavy things that you would quite like to take, but you just can't because otherwise it's going to jeopardize the entire loadout that you've got because you just simply can't move. Or you have to crawl for 10 meters and then sprint for 3 meters and then crawl for 10 meters and sprint for 3 meters. Or you're doing this like dumb stuff like you drop your bag and then you have to walk around and to regain your stamina and then pick it back up and then drop it and regain stamina and pick it back up and all this kind of like weird metagaming. And that's the thing. I don't think the game would be bad for just deleting red weight from the game and having like the yellow, like maximum yellow weight be like as bad as it can be. Because it's already like you can. Let me put it this way. As I said, it's a sliding scale, so everybody will independently decide where they think enough is enough. But I feel that having a stamina bar that is static is enough. Like you end up in a firefight and you sprint and your stamina doesn't go back up. You're just like, once you're down at 0, that's it. You're just stuck at 0 unless you stand still. I think that's punishing enough. I don't feel like it needs to go down while you walk.
Right. Yeah, I could
that's me. It's completely like, there's no fact to this. It's just about what you like in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just I don't know. There's just still something there because like it's a PV. I mean, it's not. I mean, there's other players and you're like competing, and so like you're fighting over resources and like you're going to engage in PvP, and it's like you go like you it's like BSG are incentivizing you to like fend them off, but not actually. It's like we're both trying to screw each other over. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because like it's like I can't loot you, but I'm gonna get punished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's like you didn't really win. You just didn't lose by killing him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But also, and then this also plays into the whole like flea market 10k plus slot thing, where like most of the time it's not even worth bothering going and looting the guy to take what is 14 out of 65 gazelle, and you know a TC 2002 which he's repaired twice and is at 17 out of 17. It's just like I'm not gonna bother, right? I could just kill the guy, take his tag, and then move on and just loot 10 to 15k per slot items for the rest of my kit. I basically don't loot PMCs anymore, partly due to I eventually just die anyway. Like even in those, I've had some like insane raids recently, and I've just like not looted literally anyone. I think it's out of the 12 kills I've got for assessment, I think I've looted 2 players total. But it's like it's barely worth it. Like you just go, well, you know, sometimes you go to somebody and you're like, oh, they're actually juiced with like a really good gun. But most of the time, you turn up to them and they've got some very average stuff, and just like, well, well, I don't want any of this stuff. I don't care. It's like whatever. It is good if your stuff's broken though, right there. If you've got no armor and things, like that's fine. Or if you're like running out of ammo or something, then like yeah, fine. Or you could like swap helmets and things. That's okay. That's where it makes sense. But
yeah, and I guess that's like my like kind of one of my points is it's like in my example, like it felt great when I was like had the pistol and I killed the PMC and I got to loot him and I became him and I got to like see all his gear and all of his cool stuff. Whereas like when I'm already loaded out, it's like feels very bad to loot him because I can't fit it. It's probably gonna be too heavy. I have to spend time organizing, sorting. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't know. It's just there's something there that doesn't feel like on one side of the spectrum, it feels really good. On the other side, it doesn't feel great, which then sort of like incentivize, you could argue like incentivize people to bring less. I don't know. It's just something that like I can't really square it.
I understand why, because it's again,
And I'm
it's
not
all
even
sliding
saying it's
scales.
bad.
Yeah, I know. This is the thing. It's like because that's the thing. It's all sliding scales. We're both just like, could this be better? Like, is this better? Like, changing some of these things, will that actually improve it, or are we just going to be? Is it just we're just moving the goalpost slightly, and then we're like, oh, we're still being punished. Like, should we make it even less and even less and even less? And like, when you could carry like Omega stuff again, it's like, well, does that even matter? Because like 10k per slot stuff is still more valuable. So do we even care about the weight system? Like at all? Like, do we even care that it's negatively affects PMC stuff? Because that's not really the issue. I don't know. It's like it's complicated. I think, as we've said before, I think a lot of this stuff really stems right back at the root of the problem, which is just the fundability and interchangeability of all the items. You know, like all of these, like a lot of these Tarkov systems make more sense in a hardcore environment. They just do. And looting PMCs makes more sense in a hardcore environment as well, and not being able to sell everything on the flea market or buying everything from the traders, it all makes the game actually make a lot more sense in general. It makes it impenetrable for a new player, and that's why I'm still the proponent of 2 accounts, hardcore versus regular game. Lots of people find the regular game impossible, right? People found the game easy when they started. My channel wouldn't need to exist, but the fact that it does exist and that people watch the videos shows that it's required, right? That people find the game really tough and they need help and whatever. But experienced players, it's once you get it, it's almost like too easy, right? And you know what to do and you know how to like metagame it. And those people really should be playing hardcore. But they should be playing hardcore against each other. They shouldn't be playing against the noobs, right? The newbies who are just come in and really need a under level 15 map. It's like, yeah.
That brings in another interesting topic, which we'll have to move on here soon. But it's like you say that, and what you're essentially saying is skill-based matchmaking. You know, it's like the hard players, the veteran players should play against each other, and then the new players.
But it's like self-imposed, whatever. But like sort of.
Right. Yeah, no, I get that.
You
But that's
choose,
what
right? You can choose which way you want to play it. Yeah.
But that's No, I totally. But like I'm saying, like the essence of that is like because there is no matchmaking on one side for the new players, it's extra difficult. And then on the other side, for the veteran players, it's extra boring. You know what I mean? It's just
and we can never agree on the middle ground, right? Because you take it too far one way, and it just like cripples the new guys, and you take it too far the other way, and it's just like incredibly boring for all the experienced players. It's like impossible. It's an impossible thing to do. Yeah. It's why there's always going to be complaints. I mean, I know that's the way it is for any game, but Tarkov's like even more like that because like both sides can be right at the same time. And that's why I think it's so difficult, right? Both sides can be right of like removing the flea would make it a better game. For you, yeah, definitely. And for me, maybe. But for the new player, that would completely kill the game. And both of those people could be right about this. And so you can't really make a one-size-fits-all system. That's why I think that a hardcore account would be great for experienced players. It would take, can you imagine how long it would take? I've said this before, but like an actual hardcore account where you can like, you know, do your hideout, whatever, like every raid matters. I don't know. It'd be sick. Against other hardcore people, you know all that stuff came from the hardcore raid. People had to find, like everything was found in raid properly. Found in raid could just be made, you know, got rid of because there's no flea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It'd be awesome. It'd be so cool. I'm so sad the Pestig never ended up doing his like week of hardcore. Remember, you said that ages ago, and we've talked about it like periodically. I keep bringing it up where he was like, get like 200 creators or something. Like BSG could do this. Like they're about to do it for the streamer challenge thing. All they'd need to do is do private servers instead. Just get a load of people to register. Get like 50,000 people to register for it or something. People play like a separate set of servers on hardcore just for a week or whatever. Like give people an account. Like how hard? I mean, maybe it's really really tough to do. But I mean, the streamer challenge I think has got like 1,000 players with accounts being allocated to these people. So they're clearly at least investing the time in like the automation of like giving out accounts and things like that. So maybe it would be possible to run an event like that where it's like, okay, you have a second character. You just have it appear in game, right? You don't necessarily need to log in with a different account. You just have a second account in game. Hey, look, you're a hardcore character for a month. We're just going to see what happens. Like, it'd be, oh, dude, it'd be awesome, you know? And you can play your main character if you want to. That's fine. You don't have to do it. Maybe make it just available to everybody. It'd be sick, man.
Yeah, overall, I don't know if I'm just a, you know, seasoned Tarkov player and it's just the natural cycle of, you know, just losing, you know, it's not the same as you first play the game, right?
Yeah,
I think
it's always going to be different.
The Vince, the Vince McMahon meme. Have you? I love
so many.
Well, Dad, what was it like when you first played Tarkov?
It's a good meme.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's definitely an element of that where I played Tarkov so much because I'm essentially am playing a very hardcore version of Tarkov but with bots.
Yeah.
And you know, it's fun in quotation marks. Sometimes I get so pissed off. You know how many times I've died? Okay, I'm gonna jump into a quick next topic and then I'll jump off. You know how many times I've died to like top ahead, which is like why with the bots? It's why is it top ahead?
Why is it just always top of head?
It just feels like it's always top ahead, and like because it's the realism mod, the helmets are accurate to their actual real life counterparts in terms of like armor class.
So they're all like class like 0.3.
Basically.
Paper mache. You got your tinfoil hat on. It's about as protective.
Like they'll stop buckshots and pistol rounds. That's about it. You know, they really don't do much against rifle rounds. So yeah, just all constantly top. And then the other one that's killing me is thorax. The armor plates just dude, I really think it's just not for me after playing. It just doesn't feel good on either side.
Like it feels bad luck because it's going to come to the next patch of the main branch. So there you go.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's just not looking good for me. There's a couple of interesting things. So initially I had thought like, oh yeah, the best armor is going to be like the Korans and the defenders, you know, the ones that's like got crotch protection, stomach protection, thorax, neck. But I actually think what's going to be my early prediction is going to be things like the Osprey or the, I don't know. Osprey is kind of what I'm thinking, but something that gives you like good thorax protection because like the slick is pretty bad. Yeah, it's just a plate in the front and some straps. That's it. Whereas things like the Osprey, I think it
Osprey's pretty
has.
good.
I'm not positive if it has side protection, like in real life. Um, but let's assume it does. So you got your
It
sides.
looks like it does on in game.
Is it kind of like thick or like pouch like?
It's pouchy, but it's like looks
Okay.
like there's plating under the pouch, I believe.
It might have. I mean, maybe we could pull up
The actual wiki of like real
yeah,
stuff rather than me just looking at the in-game graphic.
Osprey. What's it called?
The Osprey Mark 4A. That's the level
Mark
5, the class 5 one.
4A body armor. It's probably gonna be Tarkov
Mm.
results. Oh no, here we go. Um, front and rear hard plates. This is a big wiki page. I don't know if I can read this time. Anyways, this doesn't even have the arm protection version.
Right. Yeah, they look like additions, to be fair.
This one does. Let's see.
Are they going to add it so if you get shot in the mag at the front, it's then inoperable?
Mag, yeah. You get mag armor now.
Yeah, I'm protected by my 30 rounds of 5501.
Anyways, my point is why Osprey? Why? Well, the armor, because here's the thing with like the Karun stuff is like, yeah, you got all this front protection, but if you get shot in your arm on the side, and within Tarkov, you actually have an innate arm armor, as I understand.
What do you mean?
Like it actually has an armor class. I don't know what it is for
Oh, I
Tarkov.
see.
Like if I had to guess, it's probably like class 2. If I had to guess, but for the realism mod, it's class 1. Just to make it more realistic, I guess. But here's what would happen is like if you get shot in the side, it hits the arm, it penetrates, it goes to the thorax. You're dead, bud. I mean, you just die. So it makes like shooting people from the side like really deadly, I guess.
Yeah, it's either like it goes past the arm, it doesn't hit the arm at all, and they die, or it goes through the arm and they die. So you want to pick something like 30 pen or something is going to be like the killer. You're like, I don't know what's in 30 pen exactly, but
TCPW, if I had to guess.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is going to be a real killer.
But like even if you don't have something like that, if you just shoot for regular AK rounds, whatever, you're damaging their arm and then you're hitting their thorax. Like that's gonna hurt a lot. So one more shot, like I don't know. It's just so the reason why I say Osprey is because if you have armor there and it's not, I'm assuming it's gonna be only the top half, as it should be.
But the bottom half is like side plate,
right,
from the armor. So like most of the time, it's either going to be side plate or it's going to be armor.
I think those armors are going to be actually more valuable because you will actually have more general protection. Even then, you're still going to get shot in the gaps and it's going to suck. But I think just having more coverage from like all sides is going to be better. Like especially the arms, because it's just like it doesn't do you any good when you just have like this huge gap in the side of your body that you get shot at and just die instantly. It sucks. It sucks a lot. And yeah, it's just gonna make the game more like it's adding even more variants, which I just generally I don't like a lot of the variants. Like some is like there's a certain within reason I like variants, but I don't know. I just feel like it's too varied, super punishing. I don't think it's for me. Is my early conclusion. And it's weird because like you don't really like it feels really bad from the receiving end, but it doesn't really feel good from the giving end. When I'm shooting the guy and he falls over, I don't even know that I got the gaps shots. You know what I mean? It's not like I get a kill feed and it was like thorax gap. You know what I mean? So I don't even. It's like, oh, he fell over, great. But it's like, is it going to be any noticeably? Am I gonna actually notice that I shot him in the gap? That's like actually meaningful. Like I did the good thing. I feel like the answer is no. It's just like he died. Good.
Yeah.
It's like the same as if there was no gaps. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
It
Yeah, I
feels
don't
like
know.
in my subjective opinion, it feels like a negative all around. I don't know if there's an actual upside. Like if it's actually adding any positive to the game. It's kind of how I feel about it. But
I think this is the thing. It's like, are we actually adding anything of interest to the game whatsoever, or is it just adding complexity for no real like actual purpose? And that's just the thing that I've always argued. Like, you know, I will go along and just do it. You know, we'll see how it goes, and I'll metagame it or whatever.
yeah.
By the way, I'm just sending you something on Discord that somebody sent me in chat about. I think it actually is the Osprey about like plate stuff. It's like a visualization. I don't know if you can like throw it
Oh
up,
yeah.
but it's just it's one of those things where it's like, are we actually adding like meaningful game mechanics here, where you can like shoot the gaps and be like, I'm freaking sniper elite, whatever, or are we just adding stupid stuff that it boils down to randomness at the end of the day between networking and desync, between just the pace of the game. Like, can you even, or will you actually even be able to aim at the body part? Like, it's few and far between situations right now where you even get the ability to aim at somebody's like helmet hitbox, if that makes sense, right? You're sniping and it's like, oh, I'm going to go for the ears because the guy's wearing a TC 2002. Like, how many situations does that occur in? Like, it's very rare already. I feel like just those situations are so niche that 99% of the time it's the other situation, like we were saying. Like, it's just going to be random. Someone's going to die, and it just increases that variance a lot between low gear and high gear. And it's like there's not really much point. I mean, again, we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know how the coverage is going to be, and maybe the coverage will be over exaggerated. To get to realism whilst also being immersive or whatever. So like gamey, they'll
Realism
like
while
make it
playable or
yeah,
whatever they
like,
say.
and they'll make it playable by
Realistic is
giving you
playable. That's it.
like class 2 or class 3 or something, like in more places than maybe you should or whatever. But like the best armors will then be the ones that has that overall coverage. But it's just gonna be weird. I don't know. It just feels to me that like the armor system is one of those things that doesn't need like more complexity at the moment. Like the simple way that it works right now is kind of good. Like if it was me and if it was an ideal world, I literally would just split up the hitboxes and then call it a day. That's all I would have done.
Oh yeah, with
Honestly.
like arms and
Yeah.
stomach.
Split
Yeah.
arms off. But you could even split off front and back if you really want to, right? Like you can do however the hell you want to do it. You could split off
Right.
arms, front, back, sides, have different like you could even do different plates if you want, right? And have a plate system like that. But just make it cover the whole damn thing. Like I just don't see the upside in having the actual like plate hit detection stuff. It's just like it's more calculations. It's probably going to make the game run worse as well. And like, what's the actual upside? Like, I don't know. The durability system making sense is something that I do want. Being able to shoot somebody between the gap in the plate, it's not really something that I want in the game. I don't think it's necessary.
I feel like the reason or whatever you said is realism. Like because it's realistic. Like that's the reason. And I feel that this armor gap system is not even adding complexity. I mean, maybe it is, but I feel like it's more so just adding variance, whereas like what you described is just adding more complexity. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's not even any variance like directly being added. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah. Like
I
final
don't
say on it.
mean
Like
to
people in
like
chat are talking about like different guns are gonna be meta, saying MP5 is gonna be meta and stuff because it's like a laser beam and blah blah blah. And I've literally just feel that like everything is gonna be meta in the sense of you just nerf armor hugely.
right.
So all the guns are gonna be
That's
really
how it
powerful.
feels.
Like slugs, gonna one shot you. Buckshot's gonna like if you get hit in the wrong place, you're just gonna die to everything.
Yeah. But that's
And
how it
yeah.
feels now is like armor is like just it's like so meaningless. Like, oh, I'm wearing a Carassa. Oh, now I'm wearing a slick. What's the difference? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna get I don't know. Like it feels pretty bad in my opinion. But there are two, this is one completely different design approach because you have reworks to your health pool, the damage of the bullets, compared to like what BSG's doing. So it could be a totally different outcome. Just my early conceptual, as this as a game mechanic in a first person shooter, I don't think it's for me simply because I feel like it's adding too much variance. But we'll see. I'll definitely give it a shot.
Yeah. We will see.
All right, what you got for me?
Should we talk about Aimpunch?
Yes.
So I actually have a video on this coming out tomorrow about Aimpunch. And I think it's partly because people have been talking about Aimpunch. People have been collecting clips about Aimpunch. But I haven't seen anybody actually like make a video about Aimpunch. I was expecting a bunch of videos to turn up about Aimpunch. And there is some people have talked about Aimpunch a bit. Like, I don't know, Jesse talked a little bit about like why is everybody ratting and why the rat meta is the thing. And he talked a little bit about Aimpunch in that video, I believe. But lots of people have talked about it, but tons of people were trying to find clips about it and blah blah blah. And it's an interesting topic because I do feel that the main criticism that people have with Aimpunch, it's not necessarily that Aimpunch like exists as a concept.
Right.
It's more that the way that it's implemented prevents you from doing any kind of like meaningful counterplay. Like, it's okay. This is kind of what I boil it down to. Like, it's okay to punish somebody for being shot. Like, that's fine. But to punish somebody to the extent where they can't actually see what's going on anymore, and they can't, make adjustments and and with enough skill overcome the punishment and kill the opponent, like despite the downside or whatever, right? So you still get an advantage for being the first shot, but at the moment, being shot at first is like almost a death sentence a lot of the time, and it's very hard to counterplay in certain circumstances. And I was interested in exactly how it breaks down. And there's like CZTL did a big video about it actually. He did a breakdown video, which I was intrigued about. And there's like some stuff that it does affect and some stuff that it doesn't affect. And there's really like three things that Aimpunch does. Two of them are to do with like movements on screen, right? So one of them is your camera moves, and the other one is your gun moves. And those two things are actually independent. So
yeah,
depending on just like random factors, your gun and your camera can move independently. As we've said, like your camera can like shift to the left and your gun can shift to the right, or they could both go together. It's like, it seems kind of random either which way. Yeah, you got it on screen. That's good. So the camera punch also seems to be a lot more than the actual aim punch. So your gun broadly follows the camera with the punch, but it also isn't exactly the same either, if that makes sense. So sometimes they can be a bit different, but they broadly follow each other. And the camera punch is higher than the aim punch, so it seems. And it does take quite a while for the screen to reset. But those two things on their own, like your aim gets thrown off, which is sort of fine, right? You can adjust for that. But there's the third element, which is the blur, which CZ didn't actually talk about at all, because it's like, it's a very basic mechanic actually. And I think it might depend, because so the actual amount of aim punch that you get, I didn't actually test this for my video, but the amount of aim punch that you get changes based on the caliber, as he's tested. So if you get shot with 9mm, you don't get punched as much as like 7.62. And you also get more aim punch if you get shot in the arms, and then the head, and then I think thorax, stomach, and legs. So if you get shot in the legs, you actually get less aim punch than you get shot in the arms, which again is kind of fair enough. But the blur section is quite fascinating, because the blur for me is actually, I actually do genuinely think, after looking into it a bit, I think the blur is the worst part. Like, you can recover from an aim knock, especially when like the knock it's like very fast and then it returns. And that's almost like recoil in some ways, right? The recoil jumps up, but then then it sort of returns to center, but you like have to adjust for it yourself.
Right.
You can't really preempt it because it's in a random direction, but you can still see what is happening and make an adjustment to counter the fact that it's moved in some way. Makes it slightly easier with lasers, etc., etc. Blur though, now, and as I said, I didn't test the blur in depth with lots of different calibers or anything like that. But I went into a raid and I got myself shot with a Scav who had a shotgun, And I did actually do some other checks here and there as well. But the screen is blurry for ages. If you frame by frame it, you're blurry for so long. And I think it's something like the shortest that I saw was something like 15 frames. I think if you're getting shot with a rifle, maybe it's
15
different.
15 frames?
Yeah, dude. And if you get shot with a shotgun or something, which is the one that I was testing, you're blurry for like 24 frames, 25 frames. It's like genuinely like half a second of blur. So by the time you get shot the second time, like the first blur is hardly finished. And in my test, so I went and got a little clip and ended up being like the perfect clip to demonstrate. I got shot 3 times in rapid succession by an MP153.
Mm-hmm.
From getting shot at the first time, and the end of the third shot is 65 frames total. In that period, there are 4 frames that are clear.
I was gonna say, yeah, because
literally 4.
This is the thing. 14. What was the original number? 14 frames was blurred.
It's like 20 frames or something. 25 frames. Yeah.
Whatever. That may not sound like a lot, but when you consider the fact that the guns are firing at, God, I don't even know, like probably like 2 frames, 3 frames, 5 frames a second. That's really concerning.
It's crazy, right? And then, all the recordings are at 60 FPS. So 25 frames is like half of a second, like 450 milliseconds, right? Terrible, terrible Tarkov desync. That's awful. And you're dying behind walls and it sucks. That's like 250 milliseconds. Latencies that people start to notice is like 100 and above.
Mm-hmm.
Like 450 milliseconds of blur? Like, are you kidding me? and the worst part about it, and again, it's hard to know with these things until you actually see it and slow it down and like look at it. Because I was like, I'm not actually even sure what it looks like. And what I wanted to do was, so really the aim of this was for me to go and like replicate the Aimpunch in Premiere Pro. And then we could fiddle around with the parameters, right?
Okay.
And so I did exactly that.
Oh.
The 25 frames of blur, they're all the same. There's no degradation whatsoever. The only thing that happens is sometimes at the end of the blur effect, there's like 1 or 2 frames where it flicks to being clear and then flicks back to full blur and flicks back to clear. I don't know why it does that exactly, but it does. And I think if you get shot again, I think you might have 1 frame clear before the next blur comes in. I think you might cancel it for a frame, maybe.
Okay.
I didn't put that in the video either, but like I was just like experimenting with all this stuff. So anyway, so I like copied the blur effect in Premiere, and I did the twists as well. Actually, I like did the twisting and the moving in a way that I just like move the frames, so it's like obvious to see what's happening. And like then I could experiment with a few different things. And I genuinely think that the Aimpunch would feel so much better if the blur just like faded. I did like a whole bunch. I did like full blur to 0 blur over 20 frames, over 10 frames. I even tried like more blur at the start, but disappearing to 0 over 15 frames. So it's like boom, and then it goes away. Because in those frames before you get shot a second time, you can actually like you can see what's going on, but you get punished when you're getting hit, and you're still getting aim punched. So like ultimately, my conclusion ended up being like maybe the aim punch itself is okay, but I brought back the example from a while back, and actually it's really annoying because I couldn't find the original clip for it. But it's that raid on streets that we talked about ages ago, and I was shooting the guy with the UMP. I think I've referenced it a few times, and I put it on Twitter, and I've got the picture basically of like my screen fully blurred. The guy is dead center. His head is like right in the center of my screen. I'm point firing, and my bullets are going, 15% off the horizontal, sorry, off the vertical towards the left, and you can only see when you go frame by frame through the clip that they're bouncing off the metal plate at the back, like off at a weird angle. But because the screen was just completely blurry, like I didn't stand a chance of seeing like where my gun was shooting, where the bullets were going, and I just ended up finishing the fight being like, how didn't he die? I think it was one of those ones where I think I had like 25 shots, like 0 hits. And I was like, how is that even possible? And I went back and cut the clip, and like, yeah, that lo and behold, he's right in the middle of my screen. But oh no, because the bullets aren't going that way because they're going off to the side. But I couldn't see the aim punch because of the blur. And if the blur actually like disappeared or faded, because the aim punch itself fades, right? It's like you get punched and then it goes away.
Right.
But the blur just doesn't go away. It's on, and then it just turns off again. And then you get hit again and it turns back on again. It's like I genuinely think that's the worst part about it. If you got rid of that, it would feel so much better. Because so I ended up like I superimposed the 2 games side by side. I went to exactly the same spot where I got shot by the scav, and I recorded that cleanly. And then I superimposed the scav as well. Like you'll see it when the video comes out, but like I superimposed the scav over, and then I like nested all of it together, and then like added my own blur effect on top and stuff to like see exactly how it is. And so you can see like the actual outcomes of my experiment of what it looks like with different types of blur model. Because this is what it takes to beta test a feature. You need the ability to sandbox the feature to then check out different models to say, is this better? Is this worse? I tried one which was like 20, it was basically, it's a fast blur of 20 in Premiere. It's basically the same thing. Like it looks almost identical. Like the blur like methodology is slightly different. So like in Tarkov, like details are still slightly more visible. But if you turn the blur down in Premiere, then it's just not blurry enough. So like they're not 100% the same, but it's good enough for the purposes of doing the experiment. And taking it from 20 blur to 0 in 10 frames, to me, it almost felt like actually too short. Like it's almost as if we may as well just remove the blur if you do that.
That's kind of my question. It's like, why even have the blur in the first place?
It is a good question.
Because we're already like, I feel like if you're gonna say, oh well, it's to inform the player that they're getting shot at. It's like I already have the camera punch, the aim punch, the gun moving, the camera moving. You have the health stuff pop up on the top left. You hear the gunshot. Your character makes a noise. Like, do we really need the blur on top of everything?
It's like what we were saying before, right? It's like additive. It's like I'm already being shot at. I've got the gun moving. It's already hard enough. Like, and now you're gonna add a blur filter over the top as well. It's like the painkillers thing. It's just like, oh, we're gonna add the painkiller thing. Oh, now you've got this like desaturation. Oh, well, it's a bit annoying, but I guess it's okay. And, oh, sorry guys, there's a bug. We didn't add the chromatic blur as well around the edge. I was like, no, like why do you need to add all these things over top of each other? It's like everything's like five times overtuned on most of these mechanics. But I mean, it's a question I was asking myself while I was looking at it, thinking like, do we even need it? I don't know, because it gives the maximum amount of like counterplay while still punishing the guy. I honestly don't know. And I, in the video, I'm just like, let me know. Like, we'll have a look. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Again, it's one of those things that it's subjective. There's no right answer, really. We're trying to, maximize happiness on the curve of, people who want you to be shot once, then have to spend 6 months in hospital, for realism, versus people who want to have like no effects from getting shot whatsoever. So it's like you have to try and find some kind of common ground, and that's what makes this hard, right? Because people are going to disagree no matter what you do. But yeah, I don't know. I feel it's just like too many overlapping things to get to where we are, and that we need to turn down something. And I feel like the blur could be one of them. I don't know.
You know what? I think I've done a 180. I think it's not enough, actually. I think when you get shot at, you need to be frozen in place. You can't move. Okay. Your screen needs to also shut off. Right. Because, I mean, you're getting shot at, right? I was thinking when you first started this conversation, what if, okay, hypothetically, let's say we got our own little church's FPS game.exe. All right. And in the game, there's a gun, there's 2 players on the map, whatever, they're fighting each other, whatever. Okay. Here's the twist, okay? When you get shot at, you are completely frozen. You effectively have 0 player control. Okay. How would that feel? Pretty shite, right?
Yeah.
Now, the one thing about it is that it could really affect the playstyle, like how you engage with the game. Getting shot at is a death sentence. Now, maybe there's a mechanic like recoil in the game where, the goal of the game is to shoot the guy first and then stay on target, like manage to recoil. Because remember, when he's shot at, he's frozen for like that instance that he receives the bullet. So you want to like basically perma-stun him where he can't do anything. It sounds like a really toxic game. I don't think I would enjoy it.
It sounds like Counter-Strike to me.
Yeah, Counter-Strike has a little bit of that, right? Where you get shot at and you lose your
inertia or whatever. Yeah, your momentum. Yeah, that's a better word to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in that case, it's like I don't know. It's just like I'm not really saying the way PS Student is wrong. I'm more so saying it's like you're taking away a ton of like player agency from me when I'm getting shot at. Where like you might as well just turn off my screen during that time period. You know what I mean? It's just that's kind of my thing, is like I feel like the player agency, man. There's this meta in Marvel Snap. There's like this one deck type It's called like lockout builds, and because there's only 3 locations you can play to, and only 4 cards can fit per location, and it's like a 12 game deck. Anyways, there's this like Professor X. He completely locks any cards from being played here at this location for either side, so people will like try to what's called ramping, like get him out early and like secure. So you need only two locations total points to win in those locations. So if you can secure one location, it's like you already did half the work. And now you only have 2 locations to play to. So it's just like, it's really toxic. That's what I'm getting at in certain styles. I don't know. I just feel like taking away player agency is, in my mind anyways, is kind of I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but it just doesn't feel good at all.
Yeah, it's also like for all the Dota 2 enjoyers out there, it's like the reason why often Silence is referred to as like the anti-fun hero, because it's just like the mechanic there is just like
right.
It is. It's just like it's just like my ability is to just like stop you pressing any button.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's just like it just feels terrible to play against. Right? You don't even feel like it's a fair battle between 2 players, or it's just like I'm just going to turn off your keyboard. I press R and your keyboard turns off. It's like. Yeah. Okay. It just feels like, and there's nothing necessarily like imbalanced about it, so to speak. It just feels sucky as a player. It's just like a lot of these things. It's exactly what you're saying, right? You remove player agency, and it just feels bad.
Yeah, and I guess like the remaining player agency that you have is like you need to have the knowledge that he has that ability, so you need to like use the other aspects of the game to play around that. So like Manta style.
Yeah. So from a balance perspective, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But like, it still doesn't necessarily make it feel like good.
Exactly. It still inherently takes away, yeah. But at least there's something there for you to engage with. You get to engage with the items or something. I don't know. It's kind of a related, but also a little bit more loose in a way where it's still true. It feels bad. Silencer bans.
I'm sure in like Marvel Snap that there's the same thing. It's like, what this deck's capable of, right? So
exactly.
You're like trying to counter it to, they're trying to like mill their deck, so they pull,
But it's annoying because then it feels like you have to have certain cards in your deck in the event that they're gonna play, that they're gonna have this.
Right? It's the same thing. It's like you got to have certain items. Now I have to buy like a mantle. I have to buy something else. Like, it's that you're forced to do it, which is not necessarily unlike other stuff, but yeah.
Which I think is not ideal. Like it's marginally better than not having any option at all, I guess. I don't know. I guess you can make it similar for Tarkov. It's like, well, just hide in a corner and don't get shot at, lol. I guess.
Yeah, like you're incentivized to not be hit then in Tarkov, and it's like move, like use cover and like try to not be, try to not get hit. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's tough.
I look forward to that video. That sounds like an interesting one. I look forward to that.
Yeah. Cool. So what next? Have you got, what was the advanced AI? Did you talk about that already, or was that?
Yeah, I could talk about it briefly. The stuff the guys are doing, the peeps over at SP with the AI stuff is really cool. So there's a couple of different ones. There is, I talked about it a little bit, but I've like recently explored it more, try to understand it more, and it's just like, yeah, it's very cool what they're doing. The ones that's relevant, I would say, is I guess Sane I talked a little bit about, but it's just like they react to cover a bit more dynamic. I talked a little bit about it, so I won't go over it again. But the other two I really want to talk about was looting bots and questing bots, which I thought was really cool, where the looting bots one, it gives them because they added all these like waypoints and nav mesh for them to like navigate around the map, they can now path to loot like crates, and they'll physically, like virtually, like actually loot them. Yeah, not like a scav standing over a cache. Have you ever been? I was on streets early in the wipe, and I was looting like filing cabinets near Concordia, and this scav, I was like a scav, and the scav like ran up to me, and I thought it was a player scav, but it wasn't. And then he just like keeps running at me, and he just like warps through me, and like my character's like freaking out, warping because he's like shoving me away because he's got like collision or something. And he's just standing in front of the pallet cab. I was like, dude, I was looting that. And he's like just staring there, and he runs through and warps me. And I'm like, okay, thanks, bud. That was, keep looting. Anyways, so I thought that was pretty cool because now it's like, yeah, I guess in Tarkov they have the ability scavs to loot players if they kill you, or maybe just in general.
And just bodies in general, I think. Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah. Which is neat. But this goes like a step further where like, because not only is there scav bots, but there's also PMC bots. So now like everything's looting stuff, and it's really makes it's like fun little mini stories with the bots or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, you got this loot on you. It's like, oh, wonder. I was playing Interchange and these scavs. Like I came across a dead body, and then like I killed a scav, and then like the other AI scav did the classic Tarkov trope where he's like, I'm gonna avenge my buddy, and charges at me. But I killed him, and one of them had a bunch of like medical stuff on them, like stems and meds, and I was like in trend, kind of near not Ollie, but Idea. If you're familiar with that store, it's like right next to the escalator. I was like, where did he get all this medical stuff from? I thought for a minute, I was like, oh, it's probably the little medical room down below, the near the garage. I don't even know what it's called. Idea Medical. I don't even know what it's called. I was like, oh, that's cool. But the other one is questing bots, where the PMC bots will have all the quests. It's like a huge algorithm, and there's like depending on the level, they'll get assigned like closer to their appropriate quest level. So you won't have like a level 1 doing a level 70 task, but they'll actually like path to the locations, like the trucks, orange trucks on customs. They won't mark anything, of course, but they'll visit the locations like, oh, that's cool. It's like there's just a lot of development in the AI space that's like really, really impressive to see. I mean, on top of I really think that a lot of reasons why the AI is kind of static in the way it is because if you have them moving to a lot of places on the map, I think part of the reason is like you don't see a lot of scavs like at the forest area in customs is because of the forest itself. Like the scavs shoot through bushes, and with the way they've dealt with that is by having array cast from the bushes where it blocks the AI vision so they can't shoot you through bushes. Which I think, yeah, that's definitely something BS should implement because it just makes like fighting AI so much more reasonable. Like much more reasonable. But anyways, that's kind of all I would say. It's just like, yeah, the stuff they're doing there is really cool, and I genuinely think by like give it a couple more years and the stuff they'll be putting out would be really impressive, and can't wait to see what they come out with.
Yeah, in fairness, like, BSG's AIs are getting better as well, I would say. Like they've got more resource constraints and stuff, it being multiplayer, whatever, but it is, it is getting better. Sometimes it is hard to tell certain scavs whether they're players or not occasionally. Like most of the time it's obvious, but there are certain occasions, especially like when you don't have clear sight lines on them and you're like, is that a player or is that not a player? And like, even when you shoot at them, sometimes they'll run around the corner and then like peek back almost straight away, and you're like, oh, I can't actually quite tell. It just sort of depends. But yeah, it's interesting. It's good. Like the worst, the worst that can happen is that it's just is its own thing and there's nothing there. But best case, BSG could at least not necessarily acknowledge that they like it, but they can see it and go, well, that's quite a cool idea. We could add more waypoints or whatever. Maybe there's some things they could take away from it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect the raycasts wouldn't be. I don't know. I really wouldn't know. I mean, I get this a lot from people is like, oh wow, like why hasn't BSG done this? And like, again, as you said, to be fair, it's really different because you're doing there's only one client, which is you connecting to the server. Like you are the server. I have to eat the cost of everything that gets added, and some of it, like the behavioral stuff, allegedly the developer said, like, yeah, there's no performance cost based off his testing, but some of the other stuff is like performance cost heavy. Like there's one where it takes into account lighting for scavs, which is really cool, and shadows and stuff. And you have like a little like thief Unicode lighting bar at the top that will like, if it's to the left, it means you're really like, lights shining at you or something. If it's like to the right more, it's like you're in darkness. It's really cool because it makes it like way more. There's been so many instances where like I'm in a dark spot and I'm not, the scav runs by or whatever runs by and doesn't see me. It's like, that's really cool. But
yeah, it'd be quite cool if they did that. And you know what? Honestly, it would be quite nice if that happened in the base game, even just through like a static map or something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
I mean, the problem is with that one in particular, it has to render a camera on you
yeah.
to inform, and like it's costly. And if you do that for all the clients, that's going to be extremely costly on the server. And as you know, Tarkov already has enough server issues as is. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of merit to, this is like unique to a single player environment. Like not all these things can be done, but I do think there's some things. Like I feel like the bush thing probably wouldn't be that expensive. Like it's just one. Well, I shouldn't say just one, but it's just a little way getting casted from a bush. How much could that be? Anyways, I just think it's really cool to see these guys do their thing, and I can't wait to see what. I feel like the future is really bright in terms of like what they can achieve there.
Yeah, it's decent. It is decent. Shall we talk about something new?
Okay.
That caught my eye with Greyzone. Now, I don't know if anybody managed to catch the Greyzone announcement from
I don't know why the name just sounds funny to me.
Mad Finger Games is who's doing this game, but the thing that I would say brought my eye to it more than anything else is just the way that the environments look.
Okay.
It looks amazing. The game looks incredible, right? You know what I mean? Like just the way that it's done.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
The environments look absolutely insane. Like to me, and looking through, like there's some gun shooting in there. Like this is still like really early, right? And so this is a very early announcement. But it's another one of these sort of like it doesn't say extract shooter in the title, which fills me with a little bit of hope. It says immersive open world tactical FPS. So maybe it's more like a Dayz hybrid rather than like, it's a Tarkov clone. Because I think like anybody who tries to go down the extract shooter route, it's like, as we've seen, there's so many problems with doing that, and just adding extracts to a game doesn't necessarily make it good. But the world could still do with a proper Dayz game, like a good Dayz game that's like that and has an economy or loot or whatever. Like, all of those elements that make both of those games good in their own merit, like Tarkov and Dayz. But yeah, like that's the first thing that caught my eye, was it just looks absolutely stunning. And like when I watched through the trailer, it reminds me of which one is it? Is it Far Cry 3? Yeah, it reminds me of Far Cry 3, which
I can see that a little bit.
It's the sort of jungle
Right.
kind of like South Asia vibe, which is just like such a cool environment. And it looked like Far Cry with like Call of Duty style shooting, with kind of like, it doesn't really look like Tarkov that much. It looks like a Dayz type of inventory. Like maybe because it's got like some weapon modding and stuff. It doesn't look like that complicated necessarily, but maybe it's a bit more in depth than Dayz on that front. I don't know really, but it looks quite interesting. Honestly, it's one of the first ones I've seen where I'm just like, I like the world a lot. It's like with Marathon, like it's fine. It's futuristic-y, sort of cyberpunky. That's kind of like that's fine. Like the cycle, lots of people didn't really like the space thing. There's like lots of issues with various ones. Like COD was fine, but COD the DMZ was just very very light touch on the loot, so it didn't really have that element to it. It was not really like DMZ is not survivally. It's just extracty. It's not survivally.
Really, yeah.
And Tarkov's not that survivally either, but like more so than DMZ. But this one in particular did. I don't know. It looks kind of like it might be ticking all the boxes that we would hope that something like this would tick, without being like a zombie survival game, as well. Like the grim darkness of the far future where there is only war. It's like, everything's grey and everything's in rubble. It doesn't look like that. It's like beautiful tropical forests and stuff. Like I like the aesthetics of the way it looks. So Karmakut did a good video, like breaking down.
Oh, okay.
It's only the trailer and a few things from Discord that he has talked about. I listened to it on like 2x speed because it's like half an hour long, and he's talking about all sorts of stuff. But there was a few things in his video that he like pointed out, which is interesting, which is that these guys, Madfinger Games, they're actually a mobile game developer, which is the one thing that's kind of like, okay, don't know. Like this is their first PC title.
Right.
Like it's kind of surprising. It's like a bit of a jump out of their ballpark of genres that they've done before and sort of types of games they're going to have done before. And there's also obviously the question around like monetization and microtransactions. There's clearly, if you've come from that world, that comes naturally to you, but that doesn't really vibe with the PC player base, which is presumably where most of the players will come from. I mean, maybe it'll go on console as well, so maybe that'll be better received by those players too. But microtransactions outside of mobile gaming are pretty much universally reviled. So, but outside of that, they do seem to. Apparently, their games have had pretty good reception in general. So they're coming from a fairly solid funding base to decide to make this. It's not like they're a startup studio, but they've got successful games they're making money on like at the moment. So they could see it through properly. Secondly, it's in UE5. So Unreal Engine using Unreal 5, which is partly the reason why the game looks so good.
Yeah.
In Karma's video, he like pointed out like there's a bunch of the tree shots from like long distance where like everything's casting shadows out to like really really long distances, which is part of like the UE engine. There's like Church is showing some of the healing animations at the moment, which look kind of like Tarkov/Dayz. Like that basically looks like a CMS kit from Tarkov, pretty much 1-to-1. So like it looks like it's got some cool features. Apparently, so it sounds similar to Dayz more so in some ways because it's like a 42-kilometer square, and the world lives while you're not online, which again is very Dayz like. It's not like instance based. It's an open world like Dayz. So I don't know, but there's like 3 factions. It's PMC orientated. Players have got like different gear on them in the trailer. What they said was Greyzone Warfare is an immersive tactical first-person shooter with a maximum focus on realism. Well, you know how toxic that could be. But become part of a private military company and navigate an expansive open-world setting alone or in a squad. Adapt to your surroundings, use tactics to your advantage, and fight for survival against other human operators and AI-controlled enemies. So I don't know. Like we'll see. But there's a looting element as well. They are currently hiring a game economy designer
for
the team. So that also indicates that they're taking that a bit more. Like you wouldn't need that to make DMZ, for example. Whereas like you would need it if you were intending to make the economy more of a feature, which really is one of the reasons why Tarkov is the game it is, right? Like I don't think the other games have lent enough into the economy actually, and
okay, I can agree with
hideouts
that
and that kind of stuff. I think it's a really big part of why the game ends up being the way it is and why it's so addictive. People like seeing number go up, and and money is meaningful. As much as we want to dislocate the ruble meta, partly why people like the game. Make the money and then use the money to buy stuff. We have top tier stuff restricted, but maybe if we restrict everything, like maybe hardcore Tarkov would suck. But that aside, not going off into a huge tangent. I'm intrigued. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
It looks really good graphically, which is cool. I was looking at the inventory and like the modding on this M4, and like as you said, a lot of the healing stuff. I get it. Some of this stuff is like, it's the same source materials, only so much can be different. But like even the modding UI looks very Tarkov, like almost 1-for-1. Like how he's dragging these attachments on here and where like how it's visually set up UI design wise, which for me is kind of a red flag. This is like, it's something I'm a little concerned about. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of worried that it's going to be more. This is the thing. It's like with the what's Marathon. I'm hoping that they will innovate. Iterate, do something different. Take your shot. I don't want to play Tarkov 2.0.
Well,
I feel like. Oh, you do?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. Sure. Me personally, I don't know if I really want to play Tarkov 2.0. I feel like that was one of the downsides of the cycle. Is like it really was Tarkov 2.0, but in space. It's like, hey, here's quest. Guess what? They're the same exact boring thing. Go here, loot. You need these items. Here's the hideout. You need these items. You know what I mean? It's like the same stuff. I don't know. It's just and what was the thing everyone liked about the cycle? Was the extracts, the
instant infills and like call-in extracts. Yeah.
I mean, the call-in extracts probably not the thing I was actually meaning to say, but the worlds, how the world was set up, the servers, you could instant infills, you know, and I just think they should have leaned way more into that stuff, like, you know, stand out a bit more. They did the same like generic armor class system. The damage system was whack, so I guess, you know, that was a bit of a miss, something they did different. But anyways, I don't know. I just would like to see some iteration, but overall,
that's the thing, though. I feel like you could get the same kind of, you could get something like that here, right? Where it's like there's the little bird, you know, there's helicopters and things. I don't know exactly how that's gonna work, but like the trailer opens with players being like helicoptered into the area. So you could, I mean, you can imagine it as a kind of Dayz Tarkov like the cycle combo where it's like it's a Dayz style map, but you infill in instantly into a constantly ongoing server, and then, you know, come back to, I don't know, a safe zone or a Tarkov style inventory, or I don't know, whatever. I don't know, like it feels like you could maybe like pick the best of everything and make something really cool using the new tech. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, like, who knows yet? We don't know. We don't know anything about the game, right? So, but
no, this is interesting. Expansive living open world. Explore a sprawling 42 kilometers squared of the Democratic Republic of Lemang, a fictional Southeast Asian country inspired by the stunning landscapes of Laos. Utilize exploring landing zones. Don't know what landing zones means, and helicopters to move through a persistent world that keeps on living even when you're not playing. Which, big thumbs up for me there. I like that. I think. Depends. Sometimes raiding can be pretty toxic if they have raids, but this, anyways, that's all another can of worms. The other thing I saw was secure container. God damn it. Why? I mean, I know why. You know what they're gonna do.
Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's locked.
Mark my word. You know what they're gonna do? What? They're gonna sell container packages. Mark my word, dude. Mark my word. Church at 11:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Times, November 3rd, 2023. He called it.
Oh, people will pay for that. Tarkov has shown that's
the thing. It's like people buy it. Why would you not do it? Can't really fault them.
But yeah, I don't know. It's the first one of these that I'm like, ooh, this could look good, actually. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm going to be following along. Seeing how it goes.
What's to project the date? Was it 2024? Did I see a date somewhere?
It says 2024.
Oh, yeah. We'll see, man.
So, I don't know. Yeah, like I think of all the games we've seen so far, I think this one and We the People are probably the ones that I want to keep an eye on the most.
Yeah, this one looks really good visually.
It's just the fact that it looks great visually, right? That's part of it. People ask me all the time, like, oh, you know, you should go and do this raid at night. Don't go and do this thing at night. Go and do that at night. And I'm just like, yeah, that's probably the meta for completing whatever it is that I need to do. I just don't like looking at it.
Look at this Aimpunch. What do you think of this? I think this is Aimpunch on this Ironside M4.
On there when it jumps up.
Yeah. I mean, it's not blurring, so it's not good, right? It's not realistic enough.
I thought that the recoil actually looked okay.
That's what I'm thinking. The recoil looks very...
It looks like Call of Duty. That's my point, right? It's like it bounces, but you don't like go off target, so to speak. It's like random around.
Your gun doesn't pivot 90 degrees.
Yeah. We haven't. I mean, I don't think we see a full auto spray in here. We see a lot of semi-auto, but still, it looks okay. Yeah. There's no jump. There's no vertical jump like there is in Tarkov. Right. I don't know. It looks kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know. I was getting lots of good vibes looking at it. Let's put it that way. From what I've seen so far, which it's a very short trailer, we don't really know. I mean, all of this of like people slow walking around. I'm just like, we know from EFT that that's just not how people play these games, right? So you have to take those like cinematic shots of 3 players moving in, all walking in the open. Like this, You have to take that with a pinch of salt because that just never occurs unless you're playing, unless that's the PvE element, which it could be. But
Well,
yeah, I don't know, man. It's cool. Like the thing that excites me about this is that it looks like it's coming from a solid base.
like they're
You know,
well
they're using
funded, or
UE5. They're well funded. You know, they probably have access to resources that like a new dev team are like just figuring out. You know, like you look
right.
at the as much as I'm sure they're doing great stuff, and it's you know, I'm excited for them and I hope that they do well. You look at the We the People thing, and it's like I shared that thing previously of them making that PDA, and they're like, you know, they're still investing in the technology of making the game,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense, right? They're like, this is the shortest we've ever got a game asset down from like, you know, we got the whole thing from production to in 3 days. Whereas like these dudes are making games already. Like they know how to make games. Maybe not for PC, but they've got experience in actually producing full games and releasing them already. There's a base of knowledge there that doesn't need to be learned from scratch, which gives me some hope for them. As long as they do it in the right way and it's not, they could screw it up in 1,000 ways, right? Make it really predatory on pay to win. They could do all sorts of things and make the game toxic and terrible to play. Sure, but there's, for me so far, there's all the. It's like I don't know. It's like some kind of like chemistry experiment. You know, it's got all the right ingredients, but we just got to
Yeah,
shake it up
yeah.
now and see whether it explodes or not. It's
Yeah,
got
it's
potential.
for sure, for sure.
It's got potential, and that potential could be scuppered, or it could end up being something beautiful. And I think that of all the games that I've seen so far, this one probably looks like it has the capacity to be great. Maybe if they do it right, which even the player base don't know really what that means. So they just have to do the thing they want to do, release it, we'll play it, and we'll decide if it's good or not. But I think it has the potential to be good, maybe in some universe. I think a lot of devs don't really know either. Like people just make stuff, and things sort of accidentally end up being brilliant. Like we've talked about this before, right? It's like most of the best games are all mods for stuff because 10,000 people made a mod and one of them was good, and then they ran with it. You know, CS, Dota, and League. You know, all of those things. It's just Tarkov was never expected to be the game that it is today. Like these things are all sort of accidents, right? Like StarCraft 1 became accidentally the best RTS esports in the world, kind of by mistake. Like that's not what the devs had in mind. The game just the emergent
Yeah.
player behavior just ended up that way.
I mean, I would say Tarkov's success in many ways is a quote unquote accident.
I think so.
They definitely hit. No one else was doing what they did, and they definitely hit something. They struck gold. I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think you can really, you can't really engineer it either. Like if you try to over engineer the fun or engineer the brilliance or engineer the complexity,
Mhm.
you suck something out of these games. StarCraft 2 was very much like that, in my opinion. You know, there's lots of things that made StarCraft 1 brilliant. That StarCraft 2 was it was a very solid game. Don't get me wrong. But there are some of those elements that are hard to, like, they just sort of happen by chance to make the game brilliant and give clutch moments and yada yada. And when you try to engineer that, it's like, you know, nearly impossible. And not for want of trying. You know, it's just hard. It's just hard. Like you're trying to engineer something and you're going up against natural selection. You know, there were you know, hundreds of RTSs released, and one of them became like the esports king. It's like, okay, well, you're now going to have to manufacture that, like manually on
Right.
purpose. Like even with all the world's resources for these games companies, for these big AAAs, it's so hard to do it. It's just so hard to do that because you're fighting against natural selection. You're fighting against the one game that was picked out of 10,000 games that were created and did okay or failed or whatever to be that one game that people could put 10,000 hours into. Like it's just there's a something there, right? And it's like it's timing, it's the player base, it's the people who are playing it at the right place at the right time. Like there's just it's history. Like are people, you know, is your game intuitive enough to people understand it enough to, you know, can people watch it? Do people want to play it? Do people feel and it's yeah, it's so there's so much to it. You can't ever really do that. So yeah, again, like I never have high expectations for any of these things because it's just like I'm just happy anytime I see another one in development, honestly, because it gives you
Yeah.
another chance. You get another roll of the dice. It's something brilliant coming out.
Yeah. My only concern there is just that I think historically, new thing will arrive on scene, insanely popular, whether it's Counter Strike, Fortnite, Dota. Team Fortress 2, whatever the case may be. And it's like you get all these clones and it's not really anything new or exciting. It's just like they're securing small subsections of the market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like not until someone actually steps out of the box and does something. That's kind of my thing is, why I'm a little more hesitant on something like what you showed me with what's it called? Gray matter?
Greyzone.
Greyzone, yeah. Because it just kind of looks like it's sticking a little. And I understand, the Tarkov source material, you can only diverge so far from that until you start getting like space. You know what I mean? Then you can really, but I don't know. I always like to see good iteration and innovation and, just new ideas. So I hope we get some of that in this. But speaking of space, I did want to comment on a tweet you posted about, which was in regards to Marathon, how wrong button, how allegedly some Destiny YouTubers reporting that Bungie had escaped from Tarkov streamers play Marathon and they did not seem interested in the game. Bungie asked them if they would play Marathon if released tomorrow, and no one raised their hands, which was like, when I saw this, I was just like, oh my god, dude, I'm gonna need to bust out all the tanks of copium right now and start huffing, dude, because this was the one title that I was like, okay, it's Bungie, I like classic Bungie, new Bungie, it's like foreign to me, but whatever. This is like, I've been like sucked into it a little bit, with like the marketing, the visual presentation, that was really cool. And I was just like, hopefully they're going to do something really different and unique. But and maybe they did, and maybe the Tarkov people just hate it. But I was looking through and I saw Landmark comment and he said, never played it. This is my first time hearing that anyone else has. And someone, let's see, one pick says there were 2 people that played it. This is not right. It's played. So a lot of people are like speculating like who played it, and I think someone said, which was kind of my suspicion, and they had a similar suspicion, was like maybe it was Dr. Lupo that played it, because he has some links of Bungie and Destiny in the past, which wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. I mean, I just hope that one's something special, different at the very least. Doesn't even have to be good, just be different.
There's kind of 2 sides to this story, I think, for me, which is I did actually go and watch the source video where this was from. In the end, because somebody commented on my post and was just like, the guy's like well respected and doesn't just say stuff for nothing. I didn't know who he was, but I was like, okay, I'll go and watch it then. So like I went and watched and saw what he said, and I think it is probably right to say that if you play a game in pre-alpha, which is like got 2 years of development left, and somebody asks you if this game came out tomorrow, would you play it? Like, would you play it on stream or whatever? I think for people to say no to that, I don't think that necessarily tells us anything. Yeah, it probably doesn't tell us anything, right?
Right.
But then on the other side, you've got the fact that Bungie's basically like fired everyone.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, like, who knows what impact that has on the game. Right. So there's kind of 2 sides to it. It's just like, given that, I wouldn't necessarily get out the copium tanks for Bungie exactly at this point with that, because they seem to have let go quite a lot of people.
Yeah,
relatively recently. So
was that Bungie or was that Sony's doing? I can't remember the details.
Don't know, but either which way, a lot of people disappeared.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Rip those individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, because what did One Peg say? Because One Peg did say something else. He like seems to have a source of it, at least. What did he actually write? It's probably quite hard to find it because he writes many things on Twitter.
Let me see if he posted underneath.
Let me see.
He says there was way more than just Tarkov players at the event.
Right.
So that maybe it's like a wider audience, and like specifically the Tarkov people didn't like it.
Oh yeah, okay. So this is the quote tweet he did. So he said, "I know 2 Tarkov content creators that participated. I was told there were 10 in total. There were many more people there that had nothing to do with Tarkov. They're all under NDA, so aren't saying anything, and I'm not throwing them under the bus. The game is 2 years out. However, at the time they played it, it was not good, quote unquote. Most of the creators that participated in the focus group that was held on site at Bungie's studio had nothing to do with Tarkov and were mostly centralized around Apex, COD, etc. I was informed that when asked if anyone would play the game / enjoy the game as it stood now, meaning at the time it was tested, that no one raised their hand. Again, it's 2 years out, and the focus group was like 6 months ago. I highly doubt layoffs are a result of this, and the news surrounding it is a nothing burger.
Okay.
I agree with One Peg based on everything I've read. I think it's just headline bait,
right?
More than anything else. Because I mean, I think the YouTube video is valid, but this, like, who actually put the tweet out? It was like some news reporting.
Destiny tracker.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not sure whether they're legit or not. But anyway, it sounds like headline bait to me more than anything else. So stick your copium back in and just keep up for the next 2 years. By which point we'll have Greyzone, so it won't matter, right? Because we're all going to be playing that.
True. Sure.
Well, when is We the People supposed to be coming out?
Like
that was really hard,
might
though.
be cooking for a minute.
Probably, yeah. If you try to find, like, We the People is like the worst SEO name for a game ever, because you try to type it in and you find like thousands of different community actions and like protests and all sorts of stuff. Yes, it is just early access, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The year is 2028. I wonder whether that's maybe 2028 will come and go before. No, that's early for a game in early access to set your game only 5 years in the future. That's quite, as far as Tarkov goes, we'd have actually surpassed the game's date.
Yeah, wasn't BSG wanting to make what was it, Tarkov 2024 or Tarkov 20? Was it 2024 or 2028?
I think it was Russia 2028.
That was it. Yeah. Oh, Russia 2020. Okay. Yeah. So we got another 5 years till that deadline's.
Yeah.
I guess they got plenty of time.
Why early access? Our game is incredibly ambitious and may take some time to achieve the final product. So we don't know when We the People is coming. I think that's at least I don't. I'm not. I'm looking out for it, but I'm not keeping up with it like day to day or anything. So yeah, you know what? I think Greyzone is probably the next best thing that we have in the short term. Like, if it does come out next year, then maybe that's the next thing that we're going to actually be able to play. That's Tarkov /Dayz open free roaming survival immersive realistic hardcore FPS multiplayer MMO. What? Can you think of any other labels? I've run out.
No. Strategy. Immersive. Realistic. Gamer.
A game. Yeah, man, we'll see.
Cool. I think again we kind of ran out of time to do the comments, but we'll get them, keep them coming. Keep them coming. It's mostly just interesting tidbits from previous episodes. I thought was like, hey, you know what? I'll read one off.
Do one. We got to get started somewhere.
Okay. I'll do this one. No, I'll do this one. Okay, regarding the scav topic. So I think this was in relationship to one of the casts where I brought up the very popular idea of nerfing scavs. I know a lot of people really like. No, surprisingly, a lot of people were like, yeah, here's a reasonable thing. So this person says, Dad 1996W says, regarding the scav topic, I think when talking about making a comeback as a PMC, the scav mechanic is kind of necessary. But it would definitely be a solution to just make every item a scav takes out to not be found in raid. That at least slows down some quests with found in raid items. But to be honest, I think it's fine how it is right now. Which, I kind of agree. I mean, I think it's like kind of it's like a very, I don't know. It's like a very low tier list of priorities issues. You know what I mean?
What, the scav having finding raid items or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say just how like good scav is in general. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, here's your two options. Do we buff Aimpunch or do we nerf scavs? I'm gonna say we buff. My vote goes to buff Aimpunch. By buffing, I mean nerfing it. like making Aimpunch
Yeah.
better.
I'm kind
You
of
know
of
what
the
I mean?
opinion that like with Scav, you at least have to like you have to do the work, you have to go and do the thing. Like, yeah, you can kind of cheese it through factory if you want, but like you have to go and actually do the thing, and it makes the game a little bit easier just to like get resources and stuff so people can
Mhm.
use better kits. Like I don't think it's necessarily that big of a deal. Um yeah, I mean I will say it does make certain parts of it easier for questing, but again, there's already so many quests and there's only so much that the Scav can help you with. I don't think it's like game breaking. It just makes
Right.
certain parts easier. So I think it probably is fine how it is, but you can certainly get extremely rich. I know there's people who say, "Oh, I've not really played that much, but I'm only like level 16 or 17 or whatever, but I've got like 30 million rubles because I just keep playing Scav Streets and I've just got tons of money."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's you basically just get free money playing Scav, and it's so much easier. It's like I said a couple of episodes ago, probably quite a few now. Playing Scav Streets is so chill and so easy because playing Streets of PMC, you just get shot constantly by Scavs. They're everywhere. Whereas, like as a Scav, you just wander around. It's just like your hometown, you know. Occasionally, you run into a player, and you're like, "Oh my god, I've actually met somebody who's like, trying to fight back."
Mhm.
But it's a very chill experience. I think it's maybe necessary just for giving people somewhere to go that is chill. If you just want to do it like a casual run, I think if you take away some of the Scav, I mean, I guess yeah, making the stuff non-fining raid, that's people will still probably do it, but it's nice for people to have something to do that's not just like sweaty PMC raids, which is why I feel like it's kind of okay. And then like it's almost sort of self-balancing too, because like players who are more skilled, more experienced, or the streamers or whatever, they tend to play PMC only. So I
But
think it
yeah, you
kind of
don't
balances
really
out, right?
need. Well, like the option's always there, but you don't really need it per
Yeah,
se,
and you
which is
tend
kind
to
of
just be
how.
like working on quests and stuff. So you're just like, well, I'd rather just play only PMC. So like the more experience you get, typically the less scav you play. So I feel like it's almost self-balancing in some ways.
Yeah. I mean, my main gripe with it, I don't really have a problem with like found and raid necessarily. Well, like I don't. Someone else had another solution. Okay, yeah, I'll read this one. Bird 375. They can make Scav CIS, which stands for covered in shit. So you can only sell defense or use in quests, but you can't sell in fleet or lose a lot of money without compromising the quest help. Which I actually like that solution the most because for me it solves the issue I have with it while still like keeping a lot of some of the primary value, I would say. Which my issue is like I never have to worry about money because I can just scav. So like I'm
Mm,
always like, especially in these like past couple of wipes, I've been operating on like 5-digit rubles,
yeah.
like 10,000, 50,000, whatever. It's just like if I ever need money, I just scav and it's like boom, easy money. Especially, obviously level 15 is a huge, the flea market is really what's kicking that up.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like that would be like something there is like just a nice little like tweak. That way it's like makes, but again, this is like it's a very like you know, it's one of these like things issues where it's like priority wise, it's very low down on the list in
Yeah.
reality, Like as I said, if you give me those two options, I'm always gonna pick the aim punch every single time. Um like I think probably we could do with more buffs and nerfs in Tarkov at the moment. the
Mm.
way the way things are set up, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes sense. Yeah, it's just like when people come up with like amazing ideas for stuff, and it's like, oh, they could do this or that, or they could do, even like I was talking about exfils, and it's like that's great, but like that's probably not going to get worked on, right? It's like not core to what needs to get done to make the game get to 1.0.
Yeah, we
So,
got to get armor hitzones first.
mm, mm.
uh,
Oh god! And you know what? We could have armor hit zones in literally as little as like 7 weeks, 6 weeks. Because I was
really?
thinking about this the
Oh
other day,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
That's
November
right.
the
That's right.
3rd,
Damn,
Church.
that's crazy.
We're having a December wipe as far as Nikita said. So technically, December is in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah,
So December the
and
1st wipe, 4 weeks time, armor hit zones. No, but it's probably going to be like mid-December, if not end of December. So yeah, it could legitimately be like 6 weeks, right? And we're talking about armor hit zones and vaulting and left shoulder shooting and all of the other elements that are all fully completed and totally functional are definitely going to work perfectly when the patch drops.
yeah, Nikita said at the TwitchCon event that I can't remember his exact wording, but it's something he was like he was really proud or really excited for what's coming. So
He
yeah,
tweeted, I think.
was that what it was?
Yeah, I think it wasn't anything in particular. Maybe that was about Halloween, but where did he post? He said, "Oh, it literally is just out of nowhere. Actually, he's not referencing anything. It says end of this year is going to be huge."
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
He definitely posted that, but with no context. Huge with 2 U's as well.
Huge.
That's like soon, but the huge version.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. The experience. It will be something to experience in the Tarkov history books. You know, it's like experience. I got to get in a little bit when hatchling was was rampant. Then we got the Fountain Rage stuff. The Rico, the Rico rework. What else has been an experience? The Oculus audio has been experienced, which I just have to mention this because it's killing me. As you know, I have Oculus audio and Tarkov SP as well, and the one thing that's just killing me is like localization is bad, right? Sure. But the one thing that is absolutely just driving me bonkers is the freaking false flags for like the bullet cracking whiz sound, like you're getting shot at. That gives me so many false jump scares, and like I constantly have to check. And then like when it actually is happening to me, and I'm getting shot at, it's like causes confusion. It's the one thing that is driving me bonkers. That because I haven't played Tarkov in a couple of months ish, maybe 2 months, month and a half, and that's just like wow, I can't remember how annoying this is. Like
It's so bad.
If they could just do that, I will be utopia. Like my life will have improved. I will like become a successful CEO of a company. Like just just do that one thing, please. I will deal with the terrible localization. Just that one part would make it so much more.
You know what's the worst part? I used to complain about it all the time, and I'm so used to it now. I kind of forgot about it, and now I play into it where I'm just like, I hear it, and I'm just like, oh, that's shots from the road camp through the mountain, like so I know that it's not on me. Like I'm just like I'm at the point now where like I kind of know when it isn't happening.
Wow,
it's terrible. Like I've even stopped complaining about it. Like it's just absorbed into the things you have to deal with to play the game category. It's bad, actually. It reminded me to complain about it more.
Yes. Good. I did good then.
You've reminded me how awful it is, because it's terrible. I hate it.
All right. I think that concludes today's episode. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Catch you later.